morning. My name is Lauren King. I am the communications coordinator for 36 Degrees North. We're so glad you're here with us this morning. I know it's a little unconventional that we are sitting at a table in front of you, but we want to work with you. We want to get some real work done. We want you to learn a lot today and get a lot of tangible takeaways. So.
And standing up for 3 hours is a long time.
That's a long time, and John's old, so you know.
I'm old.
So for those who aren't familiar, this is your first time to 36 Degrees North? Hey, woo, I see y'all. Awesome, we're so glad you're here. For those who don't know, 36 Degrees North is a co-working space dedicated to helping Tulsa businesses grow. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs succeed no matter what stage they're in. We do that through offering workspace, a place for entrepreneurs to actually come and work, a community, so different events that bring people together, and then resources like the workshop you're at today. We do mentorship, we do workshops on all sorts of topics no matter what stage you are in business. So you can find all our other workshops if you want to continue learning in different ways at our calendar on our website, which is just 36n.co. So this morning, to give you a little history on the workshop for this morning, some of you, was anyone at our Facebook 101, Facebook Ad 101? Oh, good. Hey, thanks for coming back, you guys. So we did, maybe a couple months ago, John?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay. A couple months ago, we did a Facebook Advertising 101, and we had an hour and a half, and we said, an hour and a half is plenty of time to jump into Facebook advertising. And feedback we got from probably 99% of the people who came to the class is, this was not enough time. We have more to cover. Are you kidding me? This is it? And so we heard your feedback. Thank you for being honest with that feedback, and that's why we're here today. So we want to spend from now until noon learning more about Facebook advertising and answer the questions you have. So our agenda for today, we're going to tell a little bit more about our backgrounds. Then we're going to go over that prep work that y'all were told to do ahead of time. We're not going to go really deep into it. I know probably each person has their own unique issues with the prep work. We'll do a high-level overview, and if you're still having issues with that later, we can talk to you about that after. Since each account is so unique, we're probably not going to dive into those questions right now, but we'll just go through it real quick and the importance of each step. Then we're going to go through the actual ad placement process. So how do you place an ad from beginning to end? If you're in our 101, that will be a review for you. Then we'll take a break because 3.5 hours is a long time. We'll take a break and then we'll come back, and the second half is going to be completely focused on you and your needs and what you're trying to place ads for right now. So we saw a lot of value for anyone who stuck around. Hi, Julian. For anyone who stuck around at the end of the last workshop, we spent some time and people said, hey, I'm trying to hire teachers. Can you show me how to place effective ads to find good teachers? So we just walked through how you could do the targeting, what your images might be, what your videos might be. Someone was saying, hey, we just got our product in X number of Walmart stores. How do I target around those Walmarts? So we talked about zip code targeting. So we, instead of us coming up with examples, we want to talk about the actual things that you're dealing with and that you're targeting for. So it'll be a lot of Q&A. We'll ask you to just stand up and share what you're working on, and then the hope is that everyone else learns from those questions. So to get started, let's do some introductions. My name, again, is Lauren King. I work for 36 Degrees North. My background is I got my degree in broadcast journalism from the University of Oklahoma, and I worked as a producer in TV newsrooms for 4 years. Once I decided to end my journalism career, I came here to 36 Degrees North, and I've been here almost 3 years now. In my role, I oversee all the internal and external communications of our organization. So if you wear a lot of hats in a small organization, know that I empathize with you. I know you have a lot on your plate, and so I really admire you for being here today wanting to learn more. So my role covers social media, email marketing, any communication with our members, and a ton of other things in between. I produce our podcast and for other things. But John and I have been working together on Facebook advertising and Google AdWords and YouTube advertising for almost 3 years now. So this is where the mentee has become a mentor or something like that. So John is our expert here, and he'll tell you about his background.
Hello. This is super loud. My name is John Schroeder. I'm the COO of Ribbow Media Group. My background is actually in music. I started as a recording engineer in 2001. Did that for about 10 years, and luckily got out of music and found that I was a much better marketer than I was a recording engineer. So my background has been kind of a technical one, but then realizing that I could definitely make a difference for clients leveraging advertising. For kind of my first jump into marketing and advertising was on a really small film, small for nationwide scale film. We only spent like $280,000, which sounds like a lot, but nationwide, trying to open a film, typical films have $10 million, so $280,000 is kind of like, oh, cool budget. Great. Yeah, so that film was supposed to do $6 million, it did $61 million, and I wish I had some of that $61 million. I don't. But because of that, we have been able to grow our little agency from 3 people. We ramped up to an absurd number at some point, but we're back at 10 now. So we've really focused on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, display, search. That first media buy that we created for the first film that I worked on, we leveraged Pandora and Spotify kind of in a unique way, asking specifically to target one artist or a group of artists. Apparently that wasn't a thing that people were asking for. So one of my favorite things to do is ask for stuff that's not for sale. So that kind of fits in that spot. So we built out a team for both Facebook and Google. That's kind of our core competency. In the past 6 years, we've spent, it's actually, as of this week, $110 million. So it's kind of a crazy scale, going from trying to figure out how to spend $280,000 to really ramping up and being efficient and really respecting every dollar. But it's not cool big numbers, but like if our media spends aren't returning back at the box office, then we're in trouble and we don't have a business. So that's kind of been our sweet spot. So thank you for having us. This is a good point. So 70% of that spend has been Facebook. We've been a Facebook first agency. Basically, we believe that if you can't make it work with Facebook, you can't make your advertising work with Facebook, you're not going to make it work anywhere else. You're not going to make it work in YouTube. There's some discussion about Snapchat recently, but Facebook scale, being able to buy Facebook, Instagram, Audience Network, all of those places is just massive. So, yeah, you can't win on Facebook, you can't win.
Thank you, John.
You want to
And
check your product.
Some of you might hear those numbers of, oh, we've spent $100 million, and you're like, I don't have $50 to spend on Facebook. Know that however much you do have to spend, we want you to get the most out of your money. So you don't have to be spending thousands or millions of dollars on Facebook to see a return on your investment, which is why you're here today. So don't stress about those big numbers. Just know that John has seen really teeny 36 Degrees North budgets, and he's seen really huge film budgets. So we can address where you're at no matter what your budget is for ad spending.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of examples of some smaller spends that had to come back with revenue. So.
Okay, prep work review. Do you want to do this?
Sure. So what this conversation presupposes is that you have set up a business manager within Facebook. Does everybody, show of hands, it's okay, this is time of truth, it's okay. Have you set up a business manager? Oh, I love all
Go,
of
you guys. Thank you.
Real moment of truth. Who didn't? That's okay.
No shame. No shame.
Today you can. So basically, just really high level, when you're starting Facebook advertising, you want to make sure that, especially if you own the business, you want to make sure that you own that business manager account. It's really important if you know, there's always company turnover, there's always, you don't want to get yourself into a spot where somebody leaves or someone gets upset and then you're locked out of your Instagram or your Facebook page or your ad account, God forbid. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many companies I've talked to that have said, oh yeah, we have that set up, but that person left 3 years ago. And it's like, oh, well, you should probably have access since you're the owner. So I highly recommend it. Then also Facebook, so underneath the Facebook Business Manager, you should have a Facebook ad account. Again, you're gonna wanna make sure that the highest level of your organization has access to that, even if they're not touching it on a day-to-day basis, as long as they have admin access, so that, God forbid, any of your employees leave or you decide to move on, you're leaving that company in a good place. Again, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this go wrong. And then the Facebook Pixel. Who is familiar with the Facebook Pixel and what it does? Okay, about half the room. So the Facebook Pixel, the easiest way to describe it is it's a little piece of code that goes on your website. It can be installed if you have a WordPress site or Squarespace or Wix or any of those. Most of them, if you Google how to install Facebook Pixel and then whatever website company you're using, they usually have a pretty easy walkthrough of how to make that work. So what it does is makes it so that you can retarget people that are interested in your product or your service. Everyone thinks that the world is, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube are all tracking you. They are. This is the pixel that allows them to do it. I actually had a friend recently that said, I just talked to my dad about this Ford car or something, and now it's in my Instagram feed. And they're like, I think they're listening. Kinda. So the Facebook Pixel actually allows for what they call lookalike modeling. So when a conversation happens where you talk to your dad, or you talk to your mom, or you talk to your wife, or your husband about this new Ford Focus or whatever it is. I don't know why I picked Focus. It's like the weirdest car ever. Sorry, conveyance on Ford Focus. But you see that ad in the next day or so. Really what's happened is the other person that you've talked to about that has probably looked into that specific car or that specific model. And therefore, it's creating a lookalike model of people that might be interested because you're highly connected with that person. So it could be your dad, again, your mom, some relative. And so if they've done a lot of research, you would fit into this kind of proximity of them. So they're not listening to you, just so it's okay. They're not the NSA. The NSA is listening to you, but Facebook is not yet.
Will you explain the importance of a pixel in the sense of Facebook advertising? Like, why should they go through the effort and the time to put the pixel on their website? What does it directly relate to in the Facebook ad account?
Sure. So within Facebook ads, you can create audiences of people who have been to your website. So that's just basic kind of level retargeting. So if you know that someone's interested, if you get 1,000 people to your website, you can retarget those people with an ad for an offer, or it could just be to get in their news feed maybe once a month, something like that. Another thing that you can do with the Facebook Pixel is optimize for a conversion or a conversion event. That conversion event could be someone filling out a form as a lead, or it could be actually making a purchase. I noticed one of the guys here has a ClickFunnels shirt on. ClickFunnels has a great platform for, right here, for being able to segment those people as they've come through the funnel. So they show up on your website, that's kind of one level of engagement. The second level is, have they said, yeah, I'm interested in that product, and then have they made it to the checkout page. And so you can see all of those things similarly to how you see it in Google Analytics, but but you can segment those people and say, I want to get back in front of these people that actually got it to like the pricing page, for instance. And then they saw the number and they're like, maybe not right now because I'm laying in bed, I'm tired, and I'm not gonna go find my wallet. But, being able to get back in front of them in the next 30 days, 180 days, that is kind of what the Facebook Pixel allows you to do.
Great. I know that's kind of deep, but know that at the very highest level, you can at least retarget the people who have been to your site already. They've shown some interest, so you can start feeding ads to them.
Just don't bombard them. Unless you have a ton of people, then bombard them.
If you need help, if you didn't see the link to the steps of how to do those 4 things we just went over, you could take a picture real quick of this slide or write it down. That's the link to the sheet on how to do each step. You can also find the link in the description of this event on our website or on the Eventbrite link. So I'll give you all a second.
I'm going to read it in a NPR voice.
Yeah, good one.
bit.ly/36 in FB ad deep dive.
And know that the case sensitive does matter. We had problems with that at our last workshop. If it's uppercase, it needs to be uppercase.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The more you know.
I know. Learn something new every day, huh?
That's great.
Okay. Okay, now let's talk about the actual ad placement process. So once you've done these 4 steps where you have your public facing page, you have your back end page, you have your pixel set up, I know that you don't have to have the pixel set up to do everything in ads, but it does help a lot. Then you actually have to go in and create your ads. So we'll go through the process of that. The number 1 most important thing to do before you begin is to think about your strategy. It's going to be so tempting to just jump in and just start creating something and be like, I think this is what people need, or I want to show them this new shirt that we have, or this new milkshake we're serving, or whatever. But think through, what are you actually trying to get people to do? Do you want them to just know about the new product, or do you want them to buy the new product? So whatever you're trying to get them to do will shape how you set up your whole ad. So John's going to walk us through 2 examples of times they had to really think about different strategies. Tell us about Martin Bionics.
Sure. So Martin Bionics is a company out of Oklahoma City. They are an amazing company out of Oklahoma City. What they do is they created a prosthetic socket for amputees. That industry is really archaic. The normal process, if you are an amputee, is to go into a prosthetist and have them mold your leg. This process is about 2 months, from what I understand. And so they go and they mold your leg, and they build a very hard cast, basically. And that hard cast could be made of different materials, and there's ones that are less sweaty. That's about the most innovative part so far. So Martin Bionics came in and basically said, was a former NASA engineer who built their bionic man suit. They need to make more of the women's suit. I don't know if you saw that in the news. So what they basically did is, instead of creating a mold, what they did is basically created the Ribbow or the Nike of sockets. So it's adjustable. It can be adjusted not just like month over month, but day over day, or even within a singular day. So they originally were selling to prosthetists nationwide. What they ran into was that they had this need, they were creating leads for other companies, basically. So they were having to sell their products back to prosthetists. We came to them, their only marketing channels were print magazines, given probably the right print magazines, but spending a decent amount of money to be in the prosthetist office as a magazine that maybe they'll pick up or maybe they won't. But they had no way to scale. So we sat down with them and said, let's run some tests. With the approach that we took was that we asked them to come up with the number that if we were able to deliver leads to them for X cost, and I'm just going to use round numbers, these aren't the actual numbers, but round numbers. If we can deliver a lead for $100, which may sound like a lot, but when you're selling a $10,000 to $90,000 leg, it's an incredible deal. So if you can scale that, that was kind of the mission. So they came to us and said, can you make this happen? We said, I'm not sure, we came from entertainment, but I think we can do it. So what we did is we created several lead campaigns and were able to come up with a scalable customer acquisition cost. It was very specific, like this is not a, you clicked, I don't know if has anybody seen lead ads in Facebook or Instagram where you click a button and it kind of auto-fills your information? So there's a specific product in Facebook that allows you to say, like, fill out my information, and it'll put in your name and whatever email you've given to Facebook, maybe your phone number if you've given Facebook your email or your phone number as well. What this lead was a qualified lead, an email, a phone number, a full name, them saying what insurance provider they had. So this was a very, very qualified lead. So we were able to actually hit a really, really great cost for them. So by, again, round numbers, we came in at $17 of the 100 that they were asking. So if you can do it with Martin, you can do it with pretty much anything. I mean, this was a very micro-segmented campaign. Fun memories. So so this was the campaign that we ran. I think my favorite story to tell about them was I think a new trend that a lot of marketers are running into, where they said, go meet your conversions. So one day, a couple months back, I went to Oklahoma City. The patient of theirs allowed me to sit in while she was getting fit. And she put on her new leg for the first time. Her backstory was that she was she had been in Afghanistan, she got her leg blown off, she came back and had the traditional fitting, and it was terrible. Terrible experience in the fact that it hurt so bad that she ended up getting addicted to painkillers. And so her life in the last 18 months has been incredibly painful, and she decided that she was no longer going to wear her leg and she was going to be on crutches, and that's what she had decided was going to be her future. So as she described it, she was laying in bed, saw this ad, filled out the form. 2 weeks later, the VA flew her out. She has a new leg, and she's ready to go run with her daughter. And I'm like, this is why we do what we do. So I wish every campaign was this fun. And every product was this fun. But, you know, we need to sell ice cream too. And maybe tickets.
A few things I want to point out about this ad. If you look, I think there's some best practices we can glean from this. So one is the name of the page is the name of the company. That's really important. If your page is, I don't know, if you're the owner of your page, your name doesn't need to be as the title on your page unless what you're selling is yourself. So my friend Jillian is a voiceover actress. She should put her name on her page. But if you own Ida Red, you don't need to say, hey, I'm Lauren King, Ida Red's page. So just a best practice for that, put just your company name on there. Also, if you look at the caption's short and sweet. It says, Rocket technology hasn't changed much in 50 years, we can do better. So you're meeting people, you have to ask the question when you're writing copy of like, for your audience, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? This answers what's in it for them. It's like, hey, this technology hasn't changed, we can do better. So be thinking about your audience. What problem are you solving for them? How are you improving their life? And that's what should be in your copy. It's gonna be tempting to put in the caption everything we offer. So like for Martin Bionics, they could have put this kind of socket made out of this material and we sell it for this much money, and just overwhelm people with information. That caption, you just wanna grab people, because think of how quick you scroll through Instagram or Facebook. If you put too much information, I don't know about you, but I don't want to read all that. Just tell me why I need to care. Tell me why I need to care. That's what your caption should say.
I just saw a question there. No, go ahead.
How did you get around all of the medical keyword restrictions that they have?
So she said, how did you get around medical keyword restrictions?
So Ribbow has quite a few, one, we work directly with Facebook. So we had to go through and say, we need to be able to do this. How can we do it appropriately? How can we make sure that we're on the right side of HIPAA? Yeah, lots of regulation. It's probably a really specific answer that you're gonna need, but if you have deeper questions, glad to answer it. Because it's really a case-by-case basis, and what you can and can't ask for, and where and when. So, yeah.
So another thing we can glean from this ad is looking at the video. So the video, I don't know if y'all can hear it. It has some funky music with it, but it's not reliant on sound. 85% of content on Facebook and Instagram is consumed without sound. People don't turn that on because they're at work or they're in a public place. So keep that in mind when you're creating videos for your ads. This is driven by images, it's driven through text and the actual video. People don't have to actually turn their sound on to know what's going on in this video. If you're creating a video where you're like, for my brand, it is important for me to have a person on screen saying, like, whether it's a testimonial or it's your CEO talking about why your product's so great, or telling the story of your company because the story of your company is so cool. That could be part of your strategy, but make sure then that that video has captions on it. Don't ever use a video that's reliant on sound on Facebook or Instagram that doesn't have captions, because again, about 85% of content is taken without sound.
Where do we find the places that we get that it adds captions or?
So Jillian just said, how can we find the place that adds captions? That will be, I don't know, should I just pull that up? So on your Facebook business page, if you go to publishing tools, and this is what we're here for, to actually walk through these things. So if we go to our video library, and then we open one of our videos, Facebook actually has a really nifty tool.
And dang it, by the way, because I'm all about my voice, so I wish that there was. I see your wheels turning, John. How are you gonna fix this for me?
Makes them sound on.
I know.
That's a great.
I know.
Okay, so when you go to actually create a post, there will be a little tab that says subtitles and captions. You can actually like upload captions, or I don't know where it is right now, but sometimes there's a little magic wand that says, hey, do you want us to auto-fill captions for you? And that's really great. I don't know how to get to it after the fact, but there usually is an option to auto-fill captions.
On the right.
Do you see it? All right. Oh yeah, that's what we're on right now. That's what we're clicked on. So
Typically, we use a company called Rev.com to upload video to. If it's a dialogue intense video, then usually sending it to them and then having them do the captions, and they align everything and spell it correctly, and much better than I can
Can you go
spell.
back in and
re-edit them. Yeah, so it just depends on the budget you have to spend. So if you use rev.com, rev.com, it will automatically put it on there for you and should be like 99% correct. If you don't want to spend the money to do that, you can put them manually into Facebook. And Facebook should have an option where you can go edit, and you can edit what time the caption's showing. So I know that is possible to do for free, but if you don't want to deal with the hassle, use rev.com for sure.
And I think Rev.com is like $1 a minute, so you know.
Yeah, it's not crazy. It just
Not
depends
terrible.
on what your budget is. So the video, so yeah, sound and video, text and video, And then the button, whatever you have on the button is important to pay attention to. So part of it, going again, we were talking about strategy. The strategy for Martin Bionics is we want people to contact us. We want them to give us their information so we can reach out to them and say, hey, we saw you're interested, let's talk more about our product. So for them, contact us made sense. If you're trying to get tickets for an event, it's attend. If it's wanting someone to listen to your podcast, it's listen now. So they have lots of different options on what that button can be, so pay attention to that too. So, next example.
For my next trick. So this is an example of driving wide awareness. So this campaign, no call to action button. We were optimizing for views. I don't believe at the time that they had the optimization for through play, which is going to be a default, I think, in September. So we're optimizing for getting to the most number of people that we can. This was a film we worked on called I Can Only Imagine. People really liked this one. It was kind of wild. This was one that, is anybody familiar with the song, I Can Only Imagine? Okay. Yeah, so apparently people like that song. And as soon as we put this thing out, it just went crazy. I mean, 428,000 shares on a pretty modest movie budget. So it's, I guess the specific call out here is that if I were to run a Martin Bionics campaign just for views, I would not have the conversions that Martin Bionics needs to run their business. So, but now if I'm working with a national scale something where I'm driving wide awareness, thinking about it more like television in a way, I'm optimizing for views. I want to try to get as much, verified human attention as I can possibly get.
So we want to take a second, and before we start going step by step, we want you to think about what is your goal? What do you need people to do right now in your business? So we're going to take a couple minutes, find someone near you, and just start processing out loud a little bit about what do we need? What do we need to get to so that you can be thinking about that as we build out ads. So I'll give you a few minutes for that. Okay, about 1 minute. Okay, let's bring it back. So hopefully this helped you start thinking about what you want to get people to do. And this will be very, very important at the very beginning of setting up ads on the campaign level when we choose our objective. So when you go in to choose your objective, you want to be thinking about that, like, okay, what do I want people to do? Before we jump into the steps, I want to get a gauge of where everyone's at. So this is not a time to shame anyone, just so we know how high or deep to go. So if you have never placed a Facebook ad ever, please raise your hand. Okay, awesome, that's good to know. It might feel like a fire hose a little bit, but I'm really proud of you for being here and know that we're gonna try to break it down as best we can, and it is pretty user friendly, so don't be afraid. If the most you've done to place a Facebook ad ever is hitting the boost button on a post, raise your hand. If the boost button is your BFF. Okay, that's a good amount of people. So
This in the back.
I'm one of these. Boost button. Yeah, our goal is after today that you never hit that boost button ever again. The boost button, I feel like, is, hopefully Facebook never sees this, is Facebook's way of taking your money without actually making your money work for you. So, that's
Because I
a
work
little
closely with
harsh.
Facebook, I'm going to clarify what Lauren just said. So I would say the boost button is the closest thing to calling the local weekly magazine and saying, I have money to spend, will you spend it for me?
Sure, it's very nice.
That's the nicest way I can say it.
But the reason we don't want to do the boost button is it just limits you so much. When you actually go in and you build a campaign like we're going to do today, you can get specific with your targeting, you can get specific with your audience, you can A/B test different copy to see which ads work better than others. So that's why we want to move beyond the boost button. There's no shame if that's what you've used, because it's user friendly and it exists for a reason. But we want your money to go further, which is why we want to move away from that boost button. Now raise your hand if you like gone into Business Ad Manager and created a campaign that started with a page like this. Okay, about a fourth, third. Okay, so we're about divided in thirds. Know that if at any point when we get into the question part, if you're like, hey, I need you to take it slower, or I need you to break it down more, please don't be afraid to say that. If we're breaking it down too much and you're like, yeah, I know that, but we need to get here, let us know. We want to answer your questions and meet you where you're at. So going through the steps, the very first step again is choosing your objective. So it's going to give you 3 options. There's awareness, consideration, and conversion. So awareness, that's just like, I want this to reach as many people as possible. I just want a ton of people to see this. I'm not trying to get them to do anything right now. I'm not trying to get them to buy a ticket or give me their information or anything like that. We just want to get this out to as many people as possible. That would be awareness, which is brand awareness or reach. Probably you're going to do more reach with your ads than brand. I don't use brand awareness a lot. Do you use brand awareness that much?
Not typically.
Yeah, I think reach is, if you're really trying to like get to a lot of people, reach is going to be your sweet spot. Then there's consideration. So traffic is website traffic. I just want to get as many people as I can to my website. That's what you would use traffic for. Engagement can be a few different things. When you click engagement, it'll give you different options. It's engagement on Facebook. So you can optimize for engagement on the post. If that's like, I want a ton of people to like and comment and share this post, because I want to get people interacting with the post. Or engagement could be if you have like a Facebook event, if you're throwing a big festival or an open house or something like that, and you want people to respond. You know how on events you can respond, oh, I'm interested, or I'm going. You can optimize for that. App installs if you're trying to sell an app. Yeah, Deb, what's your question?
So is that slide right there, is that the page on the Facebook page? Are we supposed to be looking at this right now?
If you want to follow along, you're welcome to. It is in the Facebook ad manager. Here, I'll jump in for you on it. That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. Like, where is this? Yeah, thanks for asking.
How do you connect to the Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi, so if you use the guest network, the password is Basecamp 2017 with a capital B. No, we do not update our password every year.
It was a good year. It was a good year.
It was a good year. We grew a lot that year. So if you are in your Facebook business account, you'll find where it says Ads Manager. If you start from a dashboard, you should also see an option for Ads Manager.
I think that you can get to your business manager or your Facebook ad account by typing in business.facebook.com/ads manager. Again, that is business.facebook.com/ads manager.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep going back to NPR.
Yeah, that's good. Something important to pay attention to is what account you're using. If you are an agency or you're doing freelance for multiple businesses, make sure you're on the correct business on this page. I do a little work for Slate. I've done other work for some nonprofits, which is under my name. So I have to make sure I pick 36 Degrees North when I'm picking our ads, creating our ads. So when you're on this level, you see the tab that says campaigns, you hit create. This is where this screen is. Are we there? Tell you having a hard time finding it. We'll get you there during our break. Our break will be after we walk through these steps. Okay, so you pick your objectives. So you could optimize for video views. So like for, I can only imagine in film, really, you want people to watch the whole trailer. That's the goal, is that you believe by the time someone watches the end of your trailer that they will be very interested in what's going on. So that's what video views is for. And then lead generation, that goes back to if you want to have a form where you're collecting emails and phone numbers because you're like, okay, I want to create a whole list of people who are interested and I want to send them email marketing, or I want to call them and follow up. That's what lead generation is. And then messages, some people have a strategy of, I just want people to reach out to us via our Facebook inbox and ask questions. Maybe your copy is a call to action of, hey, ask us whatever question you have about the flu. You know, if your doctor's office, then you want people to optimize for people asking you specific questions like that.
And you send them a link to WebMD.
Sure. Conversions, so this is where you're actually wanting to convert someone to do an action on your website. So if that's buying a product, if that's giving more information, if it's downloading a free trial or downloading a free document, and that's what conversions would be for. And then store visits and catalogs are within products on themselves. Yes?
I have a quick question. Obviously, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the objective, I want all the above. I want to create awareness, get the name out there, but I also want the conversions to happen. Chicken and the egg situation. Obviously, that is probably more than one campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, are you guys willing to kind of dive into like how to A/B test or how to kind of get multiple going at the same time? Because I'm kind of starting from the ground up here.
Yeah, I think that what's difficult and what I really encourage is to set a budget for the month, and then especially if you're starting from scratch on a business and there's maybe not awareness of that business, saying I'm going to spend 50% of my budget creating awareness with my core audience, whether if it's a local business and anybody's potentially a buyer, focus locally. And we've tested some local campaigns where we've removed targeting and just basically said Geo Tulsa, and they've actually performed a little better for creating awareness as opposed to getting really niche. That's not always the case, I want to preface that, but I think coming up with that budget and then allocating if you're starting from scratch, I would say probably 50% awareness. I'm just using round numbers, 25 and 25, something like that. But start with awareness, because people that don't know who you are, what you do, what your product is, they're not going to instantly go, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy it right now. So, but we are going to dig through some of that a little later.
And to answer your question about A/B testing, we can talk more about that and show what stages in the campaign. You can A/B test at different stages. You can A/B test as far as like, okay, I wouldn't do this actually, like reach and conversions. Those are two different things. But if you're A/B testing like different videos, like which video is going to get more people to actually go to my website or buy a ticket or buy this product, you can A/B test with like the actual creative. You can A/B test with your targeting, so you can just set up two different like audiences and ad set levels. So we'll show you the different phases that you can A/B test. The biggest thing with A/B testing, in case I forget to say it later, don't have too many variables going with your A/B test. Pick like, okay, the only thing I'm going to change with this A/B test is who we're targeting. And your copy stays the same, your creative stays the same. You want to like really focus in on like one thing that you're comparing. If you're changing everything in from A to B, you're not going to know what's effective and what's working. So keep in mind, only do one variable at a time. So once you've picked your objective, you'll go in and create your target audience. So we'll go really deep into this during our Q&A because we want to get specific to your business. But some high level, how you can target your audience, you can do that retargeting to your website, you can create lookalike audiences, you can target by location and radius, you can put multiple locations. If you have offices both here in Oklahoma City, you could do a 20-mile radius of both Tulsa and Oklahoma City. You can put ages, you can put genders, depending on what you're selling, it may be more applicable to women than men. You can put, we'll go into detail targeting later, and then you can be really specific in this stage of where you want your ads to serve.
I have a thought. So going back to the awareness and interest and consideration question, one of the things that Facebook allows that I love, that we deploy on movies, we've deployed it on Martin Bionics, is we will run campaigns for awareness, usually optimized for video views, to the core audience once we know that that's the right audience. And based on consumption, so you can go in and you can say, you can tell Facebook, if someone has seen 10 seconds of my video, I want to get back in front of them. And you can use that similar to a website retarget. So if somebody now has, you're kind of pre-qualifying their interest, or at least that they're aware of your product or your service. Does that make sense?
Is that part of the pixel?
That's actually, the pixel's not needed for that, because it's all video within Facebook's newsfeed or Instagram's newsfeed.
Do you mind breaking back down kind of that, the top funnel part of like how, like, once we get to this point, this is what we're gonna do with the video optimization? I kind of missed that first part that you were saying, like what you did to pre-qualify basically.
Yeah, so he's saying you create a, like let's say you have a video and you're optimizing for reach. You're like, or video views probably. You're optimizing for video views. You're like, I just want people who will watch this video at least halfway through. And it's just serving that video for a few weeks. You get a bunch of people who have watched halfway through. Then you'll go in and tell Facebook, okay, anyone who watched this video up to halfway through, now show them this ad. So that's what it's doing.
And you do that within the same ad?
Within the same no, not necessarily. No, it would be a different campaign because what you're optimizing for might be different. So the first campaign, you were optimizing for video views. Then you might be using the people who watch video views and you want them to now get traffic to your website. So for the next campaign, you'll hit traffic and serve them whatever ad you want them to see as a follow-up to the video, because what you're trying to do at that point is like, okay, now that they've seen this video, I want them to come explore my website a little bit.
3 questions on deck.
Are you gonna go to where you create an audience and how you?
Yeah, we'll walk through actually creating audiences. We'll do a bunch of different ones in the Q&A part for sure.
Then I'm gonna hold off on my question.
Perfect. Okay, we will get there.
Okay.
We do
sorry.
like print advertising. So I'm gonna say that.
Generally, it would take 3 ads before you could convert somebody, into a sale.
Yep.
Does that same conversion still apply on social media, or is it quicker?
Depends how good the product is. I mean, sorry, that's
And what the
kind of a
risk
vague
is
answer, but
too.
yeah. I can only imagine, we measured across all channels unique reach and paid to conversion. And our frequency was 4.6 across all channels.
And that's frequency is how many times someone saw the ad.
So start with branding and then go to your correct response.
Yep.
But I don't think there's a
4.6
hard and
viewed
fast
it,
number.
it didn't take 4.6 for them to interact with it?
So the 4.6 number is the frequency of an impression across, at our, in our setup, it was Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, display, Pandora, Spotify, some direct placements where we're measuring at the impression level. But so it was 4.6 was the average frequency that an individual saw an ad for I Can Only Imagine who converted. Yep.
Who did convert, yeah. And impressions, if we're talking vocab, that's how many times someone has seen it. So an impression is like if you scrolled past it on your feed, whether that's Instagram or Facebook,
It's an impression.
that's an impression. You didn't have to do anything with it, you didn't have to touch it, you could have scrolled right past it, but if it went across your screen at any point, that's an impression.
What did you mean by display? Did you mean Google?
Yes, Google Display.
Which we will not get into today. So. Okay, so we'll build out target audiences in a bit. On this same, at the ad set level is where you pick where you want your ads to be displayed. So think a lot about this. I would not do automatic placement. I never do automatic placement. You want to think about where your ads are going to. So think about audiences on different platforms. So in case you don't know, Facebook also owns Instagram, and so you can think about like, okay, Instagram tends to be a younger audience. Do some Googling of who's on Instagram, what the demographics are of people on Instagram, what the demographics are of people on Facebook. Now it tends to skew older for Facebook. So think about who your audience is, think about where you want them to see it. Feed is like actually in the feed when you're scrolling, looking at all your friends' stuff, it shows up right in the middle of it. Instant articles is when it shows up, like when you're looking at another article, it'll pop up after.
So yeah, Insta articles are a little confusing, so I'm going to try to explain it.
Yeah.
So Insta articles are if you're on your news feed and your friend shared CNN or Fox or some news organization, and you click on the article, it will quickly load that news, and then in between, paragraphs or something, there will be an ad that's actually placed from Facebook, but it's in that article. So that's what instant articles are.
So like if you click to read, take a BuzzFeed quiz, sometimes you see ads in the middle of that quiz, that's where that comes from. And stream videos, so that's like if I get this a lot when I watch Ellen's videos on Facebook, it'll pause and it'll say, hey, we'll continue this video after this 10-second ad. That's what in-stream videos are, it's just that commercial break. Right column, so if you're using a display like an actual laptop or computer, there's a right column that you can place ads in. It tends to be a little cheaper, but I would argue not as effective. Instagram, so feed and stories, you know what that is. Feed is just scrolling through the homepage. Stories is if you're actually watching through your friends' stories, then an ad will pop up in the middle. I'm sure you've all seen those.
I would say that 99% of the use cases, we can focus this group on Facebook newsfeed,
Instagram feed.
So feeds and stories, focus there, especially for awareness. The lower in the funnel, I actually suggest lower in the funnel being like someone's come to your website, they click checkout. My suggestion is that you be as many places as you can be for those next 7 days, especially if you have a high ticket item. Being reminded that, I should have bought those shoes. It's probably not a bad idea.
based on the different options that you went through, are you able to be specific as far as like, if they read XYZ type of article, we want it to be there, or is that just kind of the mercy of where Facebook wants to put that? Like, how tailored is that strategy, based on which option you're taking?
It's a great question. So all of Facebook targeting is based on who the person is, not where the person is online. So there are ways to limit where your ads are shown. For instance, the instant article thing, you can actually go in and pull a list of all of the placements that they're allowed. I wouldn't recommend it. As long as you're serving the core audience that is your customer, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry
Ours is
about it.
like home services, so
Mhm.
restoration, so it's like everybody that has a home.
Yeah,
It's kind
big
of like,
market.
yeah.
We could build something out with you in our second half for sure. That could be good.
Where do I begin? It's kind of everybody in a sense, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why again, would you not choose the option of, what is it before you pick one?
Automatic placement?
Automatic placement. Why would you not choose automatic placement? Because I've always.
Because it's going to deliver it everywhere and it's not going to get in front of people's minds as much. So let me actually go in on that side. So if we're trying to get traffic to our website and we come in and we've said like, okay, what kind of audience we want. Automatic placements means it's going to put it all of these places, but that means it's spending money in places that probably people aren't going to click in.
Okay.
So this is, again, it goes back to getting the most for your money. So right column, I would argue, has anyone in here ever clicked on an ad in the right column, ever? No, people don't click it, so why would you spend your money on it? Same with like some other ones, like if you don't have a video, you don't want, like, it wouldn't serve with videos anyway, but like if you, like, same with Messenger, like ads in the Messenger app.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever clicked those? No, people don't click that. So it's like you want your money to go further. It's gonna cost you a little more for it to be in the feed rather than a right column, but it's gonna be so much more worthwhile because people don't click these other places. Mhm.
I think that it comes back to empathy for the audience. So if I'm scrolling in my Facebook news feed and a film tries to get in front of me and they're trying to get me to watch the full trailer for a movie, then I'm probably, if I'm in the middle of an article on a news site, I'm probably not going to stop reading in the middle of it for 2.5 minutes. So if I'm trying to drive awareness, then it kind of gets into that, like, well, what is the appropriate time and place for us to drive awareness? So specifically for awareness, I would limit to when people are, Facebook categorizes 3 different categories of consumption. Let's see, I should have thought through this before I said it. Lean in, which is when people are kind of observing, like just thumbing through their news feed. There's lean back, which is kind of more like television consumption. And then there's a third one that I'm blanking on, and I'm going to come back to it, and we're just going to pretend that I didn't say 3 for a minute, and then I'm going to come back to it. But it really has to do with what they're doing, what the person is doing, and
When they
serving
stumble
them.
across that.
Right, when kind of what state they're in. There's some other optimization stuff too, where if you're, I hate even saying that I've ever opened my Facebook news feed while driving, but never do that. So if you're in transit, it will not serve, Facebook will not serve through play video. Most people don't know that. But the reason is because they don't want you watching a trailer while driving or in transit, because you're not in a state that you should be doing that. So they're actually protecting us more than we think. But
So the bottom line is you have to think about what the people are doing when you're serving the ads. So for example, it also really depends on the product you're selling. So I recently bought a new pair of Birkenstocks. I've been looking at the Birkenstock website, I've been searching it online, trying to find the cheapest place to buy them. And so if I'm reading a CNN article and I just see a picture of a Birkenstock, that could be a good thing because it's reminding me like, oh yeah, I want to buy those Birkenstocks. And that's a picture, that's a product that's just like, oh, it puts it in my mind again and makes it trigger back in there. Robin does marketing for dental offices. If I'm a dentist, even if you're targeting to dentists or dental hygienists or whoever you're targeting to, if that dentist is reading a CNN article on the Grammys, they're not going to want to stop thinking about the Grammys to think about marketing for their dental office. They're going to want to keep finding out who won the awards. And our brains can't shift that fast. So it depends on your product so much too, of like, do you want to show them a quick image to remind them like, hey, you want this? Which it's a lot easier to get me to buy a pair of Birkenstocks than it is to hire a consultant to change my whole business. It requires less mental capacity. So think about your product too when you're picking your placement. Okay, I'm just gonna stay on this page because it's gonna be easier. So you create your target, you pick your placements, and then you set your budget. People ask all the time, what's a good budget? How much should I be spending? I think the answer that John and I would both agree on is budget is what do you have to spend? What do you have? So like John spends millions of dollars sometimes. At 36 Degrees North, sometimes we'll run campaigns where we have a daily budget of $5. So it really just depends. Just set how much money you want to spend for the month. Obviously, when you spend more money, you get more results, at least that's the hope. But yeah, keep that in mind. Daily budget versus lifetime budget. Do you want to talk through that specific when you're picking those options?
Sure. So daily budget is always better, at least right now. If that ever changes, I'll post about it. The lifetime budget, it kind of depends on where you're at and how hands-on you're going to be with your advertising. So if you're terrified of overspending, you forget about it, your life gets busy, you spend an extra $100 and that's detrimental, then do lifetime budget. It's a little better performance if you're on daily. It gives it a little more leeway to spend more in one day and spend a little less on a different day. But lifetime budget, there are definitely some campaigns that I've run where I wish I would have put lifetime budget because life gets busy. So that's my long and short answer.
If you have it on daily budget, then can you still cap it at a certain?
Yeah, so the way you would
Yes.
cap it, she asked if you're on daily budget, can you still cap how much you're spending? So daily budget, first you cap how much you're spending by like how much you want to spend per day. Then it's really important to set an end date. So if you, yeah, oh my gosh, I'm sure Joey's laughing because you can forget and then you end up spending way more money than you want to. So let's say I have an event happening on May 10th. So my ticket sales are ending 3 days before, so I want my ads to run through May 7th. You can even put the time of day that you want it to run. So then it'll tell you here, like, just so you know, in 32 days, we will not spend more than $640 of your money. So it might spend a little more, a little less, depending on the day. Facebook's very smart, so they know, like, oh, maybe this is performing better on a Friday than a Saturday, so we're gonna spend a little more of your money on a Friday, but overall, in those 32 days, we will not spend more than $640. So that's how you can cap the spending on that. For ad delivery, depending on the campaign you chose over here, that will depend what options pop up for optimize for ad delivery. If you're doing traffic, 99% of the time, I would say, you're picking landing page views. There's options that you could do link clicks, but landing page views helps with people who have just fat fingers and accidentally click something and they like, oh, tried it, I didn't mean to click that, and they hit back. If you optimize for link clicks, they would count that as a link click. A landing page view is when the page actually loaded all the way and people are on the page. So that's why you want to pick landing page views over link clicks.
Now, I have a question about the landing page views. So I know in, say Google Ads, say fat finger hits the ad, it doesn't load, they go back. Well, then that has lowered my click.
Yep.
That lowers my total ad score. Does Facebook not hinder
So there's two factors there. So the comparison was that in Google, if a page loads either slowly or someone has,
They bounce off.
yeah, someone bounces from your website quickly, then Google actually makes those clicks cost more and or makes it harder for you to win the auction, which in turn makes everything cost more. Facebook does the same thing. That's part of the reason why the Facebook pixel needs to be on the website. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm answering the question. The page load speed is actually a big factor in cost per landing page view. So if there's a huge disparity between the cost per click and the cost per landing page view, that's usually why I usually look into the page speed. I don't know if I answered your question.
Are you saying, does it hurt you?
Yeah, because if you said that link clicks, every time someone clicks on it, Facebook is giving you a good job. Someone clicked on your ad.
Yeah.
Whereas landing page views, if someone clicks on it and didn't need to and backs up,
Yeah.
does then Facebook say, oh, well, that ad obviously didn't do very
No,
well?
they won't hurt you. So that's why you don't want to do link clicks. Because if you do link clicks and they click on it and they leave it real quickly, then Facebook will be like, ooh, that was a bad page.
Okay.
If you do for landing page views, exactly, it's the opposite of Google. Yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Facebook greater than Google.
Yes.
You
Well,
get in trouble for
don't
saying that.
Google that. Okay, so the last thing down here, and I don't know why it's not showing me, but you can do ad scheduling. So this goes back to like how well you know your audience. So if you know, I am very, very sure that the people I'm reaching are up between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. It just depends on your
Insomniacs and
industry.
you're selling ways to sleep.
Sleeping pills. So that could be really good. Of like,
Chiropractor.
chiropractor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you want to get a holistic route. If you know your audience really well, of like this is when they're on Facebook, you can get specific with what time the ads will deliver. So that's what that is.
So it said I would not recommend this as a first step.
No, that's like way further down the road when you really know your people. Okay, the next step is ad format. So this is the actual this is where you design at the ad level. It's what will people see. That's what the ad level is. If we come back to the actual page, it's taking, so we did campaign, that's where we pick our objective, ad set, which is where we pick our people and our placement and our budget, and then when you continue on, it shows you the different options. So to walk through some of these, just so you know what they are, carousel images, so that's like if you want to show multiple images. So let's say you're a furniture store and you just got a new shipment of different mid-century modern furniture. And you have a couch and a chair and a side table and a lamp, and you just want to deliver to anyone who's interested in mid-century modern furniture as a whole. You could do a carousel, so you'd have a different image for each block. I'm sure y'all have seen these before. Amazon does them a lot. And under each image, you can put a specific caption to go with that image. You can also put a specific link. So you can put the link for the couch under the picture of the couch. You can put the link for the lamp under the picture of the lamp. And you can put
I love
specific
lamp.
details.
I just wanted to say that I love lamp.
So
I'm
that's
sorry.
what the carousel is. No, you're great. We love you too. So single image would be, this is like if you're pushing to a page on your website, you'll probably do single image. If you're pushing to a blog post or to a product page or something like that, it's just one image. So a number to always keep in mind, just memorize this. Facebook ad images should be 1200 by 628. So if you're creating images, if you're cropping them, even if you're just going into iPhotos and you're cropping, like what size does my image need to be, make it 1200 by 628. I think Facebook tells you that in there too, but that gets it the exact perfect size so that you know if you uploaded a normal size photo, it's gonna crop it for you and you might be chopping a face off or something like that. So know that 1200 by 628 with images. Were you not to?
I shouldn't.
Okay, great.
Go ahead.
He likes to go down rabbit holes, so it's really fun. Single video, so again, that's if you're showing a trailer or a product demo or something like that. And then depending on the campaign you picked, you'll have lots of different options for format. But probably for 80% of the people in the room, you're doing carousel, single image, or single video. Okay. When you choose your ad format, again, if you're doing a square image or video, you would do 1080 by 1080. So this is important to remember. You might want to place different ads on Instagram than on Facebook. So Instagram, it looks a lot better to have a square image. For Facebook, it's that 1200 by 628. So if you're doing a square image or video, you want it to be 1080 by 1080. You can do square images on both. If you're just starting off, John recommends that you just do square on all platforms. Square on Facebook doesn't look bad, especially if people are on their mobile, which a lot of people on Facebook are on their phone. So square actually fills up more of a screen than a horizontal image will. So you can start with square everywhere. And then do you want to walk through these different like spending levels?
Sure. So I think the basis for this slide is to keep it simple. It really comes back to how much time you actually have to deliver what you need to do for marketing. So from a spend perspective, you can get a lot of value by creating one ad that's square, that's 1080 by 1080, and run that to a lot of audiences. You don't, if you're spending less than $1,000 a month, don't spend $10,000 in your time making $1,000 worth of spend. So just context there. But if you're going to start pushing more and more ad spend, I think that's probably the time where you could get into like carousel ads, if you're showing different products, or if you're wanting to mix in square, carousel, and then the 1200 by 628. That's above 1,000, above 3,000. You want to get into more and more formats. One of the things that Facebook does is it actually has kind of a certain amount of news feed allocation for ad formats. There's no public knowledge, or there's no public facing information about it, but you can, if you set up a campaign like we have and test it, it basically shows up as the most available inventory is that square inventory, followed by the stories placement, which is, I forget the actual, I remember the ratio, it's 16 by 9, not 9, or 9 by 16, not 16 by 9. And that format's getting, a lot more placement because of stories. And then video has a little bit easier time getting into the news feed and winning advertising bids. So
moral of the story is keep it simple, add a few at a time. Don't feel like you have to be running all the formats at all time. Again, it's going to depend on your audience, where your audience is, what activity they're doing, where you want to meet them at, but keep it simple and build from there. Then you want to double check your details. Specifically, you want to make sure your website URL is the right website URL. There's nothing worse than sending people to the wrong page or sending them to a page that is broken on your site. So make sure you're checking that. Make sure your text, look for typos and spelling errors. I highly recommend, before I place any ads, I usually lean over to the person next to me and say, hey, will you put ads on this real quick?
that person is never me.
No, we're not sitting next to each other.
Terrible at spelling.
Yeah, also that. I was going to throw you under the bus.
That's fine.
So double check that, because that affects your brand. You might be like, oh, what's the big deal if I separate two complete thoughts with a comma instead of a period? That matters. Grammar matters because it reflects on the professionalism of your company. Look again for that headline. What's really nice is it'll show you a display on the right side of what that will look like. So if you have a headline that's too long, you're going to see that in the example on the right. You don't want it to get cut off. You want people to see the whole thing you're saying. Also make sure to go through, maybe I can show you here. You want to make sure that you are going through, so if you placed it on both desktop feeds and mobile feeds, look at both of those. You can pick from here, oh, I want to see it in mobile feed or I want to see it in desktop feed, because if you're in desktop feed, when you're creating your headline, in mobile, that headline could be too long and get cut off. So make sure you're looking wherever you have it formatted, just scroll through here and look at how is it going to show up every place that I'm looking. So that's part of that vetting process too.
One other thought on checking the details. If you run multiple pages and have multiple Facebook or Instagram accounts, one, going back to the very beginning of today, setting up the Facebook Business Manager so that your 36 North Business Manager owns the Facebook page, the ad account, and the Instagram account. It should, if set up properly, default to those pages to run advertising. When you get into a situation where you are running multiple pages or different ad accounts, if that process isn't done right, then it may not default to the page that you're trying to run advertising to. So double check what page and what Instagram account it's running to, because I don't know how many times I've gone in and found, oh gosh, you can't run that from AMC's account because we get in trouble.
Real quick, I'm having to cover that. Maybe we're not going to be able to cover here because it's a little deeper, but maybe we can set up a time to stay on the side. The situation is I'm running a campaign for multiple business, and I can't go past through when they're adding, when they sending the account number so I can manage their money. I have to become friends of their Facebook to be able to get the account number. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In order for me to become a manager of that particular account, I have to send in a friend request. And sometimes I don't want to be a friend of the doctor, so the doctor don't want to become a friend. And that makes sense.
That's too bad,
Is
unfortunately. Like if you don't, so he was saying like when you go to manage different pages, so if you're with an agency or you're a freelancer and you're wanting to manage multiple pages, as far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have to like the page and be friends with
I have great news for both of you. So
at least you did until recently.
okay, so yeah, that used to be true, which is why I like a bunch of weird pages that it's a bunch of people that called and said, hey, can you help us? And let me check out your page. Oh, I have to like your page first? Oh, great, cool. So if Business Manager is set up on their end, on your client's end, then what they actually need to do is you need to give them your Business Manager ID, which is just you'll have the number that you can look at. And what they do is go into their Business Manager and add you as a partner with that Business Manager ID.
What's an advertiser?
Yes, but under the section, actually, can you go to Business Manager? And we can just show this because I know it's a little.
If it will take too long, we can just.
I think it's an important question. It's worth digging into.
All right.
Do we have freelancers or agencies in the room? Raise your hand. Oh, see, this
Cool.
affects a lot of people.
Sorry. So basically, this is the Business Manager for 36 Degrees North. If Ribbow was not already helping manage this account, what you would be doing, let's say that you were going to manage 36 Degrees North and work with them, then you would go in and add your Business Manager ID here, and then that would give you access to their pages, their Facebook account, their Instagram account.
Without having to like it or friend their people.
And would I
Yes.
be able to see the message when a new lead comes to the inbox?
The question was, would you be able to see the messages when a new lead comes to their inbox? Do you mean in Messenger?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Okay.
I think the answer is yes, unless they only give you advertiser access, in which case I don't believe it would give you Messenger access.
Awesome.
And I think
But we
you
can
can
double
look
check
at
that.
that
I'm
and
not
then
sure.
like you can look at
Yeah.
what they are associated with on here. And that affects like what they can get access to.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, wrapping up. So you should double check all your details, make sure everything's in line. And And then the last step is maybe the most important step. You want to monitor your ads. So this is especially true if you're A/B testing. If you're like, okay, I'm going to try 2 different ads. One's going to have a longer description, and the other one's, the caption's just going to be like a question or something like that. If you're testing copy, if you're testing 2 different pictures, whatever you're testing, you want to go back after a few days and see, okay, which one's performing better. You judge performance based on what you're optimizing for and how much it's costing to do that. So we ran ads for this event today, and we marketed to an ad set of business owners. If you own your own business, or you, I don't know, we did it around job titles and your online activity. We also did an ad set for people who are marketing specialists. So if your title on Facebook is, I'm a communications coordinator, I'm a marketing manager, anything like that, that's what we targeted to. So I was going back after the first few days, and seeing, okay, which one is using my money most effectively. And when I got there, I saw that, oh, they're both using money about the same, I'm just gonna keep running to both. There have been times where I'm running ads for a different event right now that marketing managers actually, it's costing about, I think 13 cents per event response. Where when I'm running to business owners and CEOs, it's costing about 74 cents per event response. So I turned that off and put all my money into that second category. So that's why you want to monitor, you want to see like, how is it spending my money? Where is it spending my money best? And you want to adjust, you want to turn off ads, you might want to rerun ads, you might see that, wow, it's all spending way more than I wanted to, and you need to start from scratch. But you just don't want to set it up and let it go. Even if you're only running one ad, you're not doing any A/B testing, you still want to go and check, because if it's costing a ridiculous amount of money just to get people to visit your website, then something's wrong. You probably have bad copy or bad images, or I don't know what it was.
Nobody likes your product.
Oh, that's sad.
It's a possibility.
It's possible, yeah,
At
that
some
your
point we have to be
targeting was
honest.
wrong. That's true. And so, yeah, you wanna monitor after that. So this is John's favorite quote.
So Jonathan Coleman is used to be at Facebook. I think he just moved, but he was quoted as saying, "Start with empathy, continue with utility, improve with analysis, and optimize with love." It really feels like I don't know, when I read this quote the first time, I was like, this is why Ribbow has worked. This is why, I mean, we used to define it and we come up with these silly diatribes of fiduciary responsibility for advertising. But when it comes down to it, really we're thinking and saying, okay, we need to deploy empathy in what we're putting out in our newsfeed. We need to deploy empathy for the person that's on the other side of the screen. I love that thing that is go meet your conversions. And so, you know, it doesn't matter if you're in the dental business or you're, dental business, you're changing their life by keeping them healthy and with a brighter, wider smile. And, you know, it can be something like that, but it can also be, you know, serving them ice cream at Ida Red. I mean,
Which also improves lives, you guys.
and then they get to go get their teeth worked on. But I'll take both. So, you know, I really think it comes back to first having empathy for the audience, making sure the utility part is really, is it doing what we need it to be doing for our business? And then going in and digging through the analysis, whether it be the placements or the audience targeting, or am I actually getting someone to sign up to talk with someone about getting a new leg? I mean, that's fun. And then wrap the whole thing up. So is this our break?
Yes, so we are going to take a 15-minute break. I know this has been information overload, so we want you to decompress for a sec, use the restroom, get another bite to eat. Just to prepare you for when we come back, it's going to be pure Q&A for the next about 2 hours. I know a lot of people might say that 2 hours is not enough time, but that's where we're going to start.
Or is too much? You're welcome to leave too.
Yeah, you're welcome to head out if you need to head out during that time. But we're just gonna walk through. We'll ask you to stand up, say, hey, my name is Bob. I run an auto shop. I want more people to come in for oil changes. And then ask your question. It can be a specific question, or we can actually show you how we would build out a campaign. Know that when we are building out campaigns, we're just gonna work at it together and have dialogue like we would if we were in the office doing it. So we will not have the magical, like, this is the right way. You're gonna see some discussion between us of like, okay, would you optimize for this or that? Would you use this kind of copy or that? And as we talk through it, we're hoping that you learn how we process what we're doing and learn like the questions that we ask each other, and we hope that that will be more effective than just giving you the magic pill of this is the ad you need to run. So that's the style of how we're gonna do our Q&A. But take 15 minutes right now. I'll look at the clock, so we'll be back at 10:15. If you have questions in the break, we would ask that your questions, let's just focus on like people who can't get on this platform right now. If you can't see that page that we have pulled up, we want to help you get there. Other questions, let's save for the Q&A. So we'll see you then. I know there'll be a lot of questions, and to set the expectation, we probably won't get to every question today. But we'll get as far as we can. We'll build out a few campaigns. We'll talk through how we do stuff. We'll get started. When you receive the microphone to ask your question, if you would, just tell us your name, your role with your company. We'd like to know, like, are you the founder? Are you the head of marketing? What your role is. Your experience level. So let us know, like, hey, I've never placed an ad before, or all I've done is hit boost, or I've run a few ads and I'm just trying to get better. That helps us know how, what language to use. And then what you're trying to achieve with your ads. So again, for example, in our last session, it was, hey, I'm trying to find more housekeepers, or hey, I'm trying to hire more teachers for my charter school, or whatever your niche might be, then we can walk through how we would do that with you. If you have a niche specific question, we can ask those too, but if you'd rather just see how we would build out meeting your objective, we can do that. So to get started again, name, title, company, experience. We're gonna leave this and we're gonna actually jump into the ads manager. And I think a great question to kick us off is one that Pamela asked me. She said, when you're creating an ad, you have all these things on the tree on the left. How do we know where we're at on the tree? And where we're at, it'll show you in blue where you're at along the way. So as we move down and make our options, this blue will move us down and know where we're at. You're gonna hit a total of 3 pages. There's this first page, that's the campaign page, where you put your objective. Then the ad set page, which all in the ad set page, you're picking your audience, your placements, and your budget. So the audience is like the location and what type of person they are and the age that they are. The placements where we talked about like where do you want the ad to show up and the budget of how much you want to spend. Then it will take you to a 3rd page, and that's where you pick, here's where I want the format of my ad, here's the actual media, so here are the images or video that we want to use, and then the additional creative in there. So if you're wondering, where am I at in the process, you'll just follow this tree on the left. Someone asked me a good question during break of, can you do all this on a phone? As far as I know, you can't do all this on a phone. Can you do all this on a phone?
No,
No.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't either. So no, I would say be on a desktop for this. You can boost ads on a phone, but again, we don't want to do boosting because we want your money to go further. So I would do all this from a desktop. So, questions. I already see a hand in the back, so Caitlin, let's get it. Oh, we have a question here. Okay, you already had it ready to go. So we'll come to you next. Okay.
My name is Charlotte, and I handle the marketing for a bank. We're ready to launch business mobile app, and we're going to go meet our existing customers with our laptop and just go and sign them up that way. But I want to let the people know in the radius of where other branches are that how this will benefit them, and possibly open an account or bring their business accounts to us, because we're the first in our area to come up, just in our small community area, to come up with business mobile apps. So can we boost business pages? And is stuff available.
Are you wanting to get more people to download your app, or you're wanting to, at the very first step for you is we want people to know that this
We
exists?
want them to know.
Yeah, so the first step would be, I would think, running a video views campaign, talking about the new offering, mobile banking. I don't know what the key features are, but I would highlight those key features that are solving a problem. And then, since it is kind of broad, everyone needs to have a bank. So I wouldn't focus too, I wouldn't get too highly detailed with your interest-based targeting. I would just do radiuses of your bank itself.
Do you want to set up, show them how to create radiuses of your banks?
Sure. So, do you mind typing in the 36 degrees north address? So we'll just call 36 degrees north the bank for today. So geo-targeting is pretty simple. You can just type in your address, type in the address that you are wanting to run a radius around. You have the option of narrowing it down to as few as 1 mile radius. I think the maximum is 50 miles, is that right? Off the top
Yeah,
of
it's
my head.
15.
Ah, 50.
So here's where you'll adjust your radius.
Yeah. So I think for a bank, it kind of depends on the service area that you guys already have defined. I would recommend looking into your customer file and see how far out you are actually serving. I think with banking, especially in Oklahoma, you may have rural banking that you didn't know or didn't really think like, oh no, we only serve the people right here. Oh, well, those people live 15 miles north or south or whatever it is. So that would be the first part of the campaign, just raising awareness of the new offering. Again, radius only targeting would be my suggestion. Maybe age as well. Obviously, you don't need to be targeting. It depends on, again, it depends on the offering. But under 18, if you guys are trying to do that, then I would set it up that way. But if your core demo is 25 and up or 18 and up, that's pretty easy. I wouldn't limit Facebook too much when trying to drive awareness. The second part of the campaign, which will involve working with your mobile app developer, is adding. So there's another thing similar to the Facebook code or the Facebook pixel called the Facebook SDK that needs to be built into your mobile app, and it allows you to be able to run both install and conversion campaigns. So the differences there are, one, you're just trying to get somebody to install your app. Conversion could be an event in your app that you're wanting people to do. So if that's log in, maybe they don't create their bank account. Most likely they don't create their bank account in the mobile app. They're just logging in from their already existing account. So that would be the conversion event that you're wanting to track. And then you could also run campaigns in that scenario where you're optimizing for people to engage with their bank account, which kind of sounds funny to think about, but I think it comes back to empathy and deciding how are we going to serve our clients. So, maybe a best practice is to check your balance once a day. I mean, save on overdraft fees. You can, your ability to go in and check your account and make sure, I don't know what features are in the.
It's a business app, so can you target businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. So she's saying it's a business app, can we target businesses? So if you're like, we know that the people who are going to download this app are gonna be CEOs, CFOs, that's who we see using this app. Again, it comes back to like knowing your audience. So you could come in and you can actually put in job titles. So you can put CEO as your targeting, and that's like an interest. You could put CFO. You can put people who are business, oops, one-handed typing is hard. Let's see, you can put business owner as their interest. You can put it, the behaviors, they'll target people who have the behavior of small business owners. You could do,
Yeah, see if you can find Facebook page admins.
yeah, that was on here.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that is a pretty,
Business page admins.
yeah.
Although I don't know, like if you're targeting, if you want to get founders, if the company is big enough, the founder's not going to be a business page admin. Like I highly doubt if you're targeting Williams, their people who do their business baking are probably not admins on their Facebook page. So
Yeah, it depends on the scale of the business that you're targeting. I mean, if it's Williams, then absolutely, yeah.
But you can-
CEO is not going to be the business admin on the page.
yeah.
That's your small business.
But your small business,
would.
yeah.
So you can include it in the targeting. When you do this section here, it matches at least one of the following. So it could match, the people they're targeting could just match one thing on this list. And you can keep adding to that. Like suggestions is a really great one to use because it'll give you like similar things. Like if they're an owner and founder, you can see job titles. It's fine if someone has it as owner, manager, CEO, managing director, you know, whatever you want to add. And you just keep adding and adding, and it'll add, and it'll target to at least one of these. If you want to get really specific and you want to narrow your audience, you could hit narrow, and let's say for some odd reason you wanted to do people who own businesses and they're really interested in beekeeping. I don't know why, but let's say you're doing a particular ad.
beekeeping CEOs.
Sure.
It's like yoga.
Yeah, you can get really niche if you wanted. So if you're trying to get niche where you're like, I want them to meet this and this, that's where you would do the narrow audience, and you would start putting your beekeeper stuff, and you put that all in there. They're like, wow, they're interested in all these bee things. So now they have to match one of these, and they have to match one of these. So that's how you get really niche with those. Otherwise, if you don't do that section, it's just going to target to here. You might have seen when I got rid of that beekeeping section, this little arrow here went from really specific to more broad. This is an estimate. This is not necessarily exactly how many people you're going to reach, but it's a good thing to look at of like, okay, if you're getting too specific, it's going to say less than 1,000 people on Facebook match what you're saying. Like less than 1,000 people on Facebook are a 1 mile radius from this address and meet one of these. So you might want to widen your radius, you might want to get less specific with your targeting, but that's something to keep an eye out is this panel right here.
Yeah, it's really easy when you start to narrow an audience and say they have to be CEOs and they have to be beekeepers and they have to be female, and it's really easy to create an audience that's too small, and it will just drive your costs way up. Yes.
So if you get an audience from people that look at your Facebook or like from a list, and then you add that kind of detail in it, is it from that list?
Yes, so
Or it's
that's where you don't want to
it's
get
not
too
those
specific.
people and the general public
No.
with it, it's of that list.
So she's saying, so up here on
You're
custom
really
audiences is where you can do like a lookalike audience, which is you create an audience that looks like the people who've used your page. You can do a custom audience, which is where you're picking like people who have been in my website in the last few days. You can also create new audiences here using different data if you were just putting in like a whole spreadsheet on there. So if you do the custom audience here and then you add targeting down here, it's still going to stay within that custom audience. If you're like, we only want to target people who have been to our website, I wouldn't do this down here in addition to that. If they've been on your website, they fit this already. So if you're only targeting to your website, leave it at that, leave everything else wide.
But a lookalike audience, I've done a lookalike audience and I've got people
Yeah,
who knows where they were coming
yeah, a
from. So it
lookalike
was
audience.
too broad.
A lookalike audience will depend on who you're targeting. So as 36 Degrees North, we use lookalike audiences a lot. And what a lookalike audience is you're telling Facebook, I want to target people who have similar activity to the people who like and interact with my business Facebook page. So I'll say, anyone who interacts with the 36 Degrees North Facebook page, I want an audience of people who have similar online activity. They're going to the same websites, they're liking similar pages, they have similar Facebook friends, and so that's how it creates a lookalike audience. So depending on your business, so you're saying you did a lookalike audience and you got a bunch of random people.
So after lookalike, then you can narrow it down
You
Yeah.
could narrow it down for
Yeah.
sure.
to a location, like
Yeah.
say Tulsa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you could do a lookalike audience, and that's what I always do with 36 Degrees North is I'll create a lookalike audience and then I'll still put, a 20-mile radius of our location so that we're getting the right people here.
And sorry.
Yeah, we do want to get to people who have other questions too if you'd wait for the mic, but we'll go ahead and get this question real quick.
When you're selecting people that have visited your website, that is based on the pixel,
Yes.
is that right? And that would be in your drop-down?
Yeah, so she said when you're targeting people who have been to the website, that's based on the pixel, and yes, that's true. So that would be where you create a new custom audience, and you do website traffic, and we have our pixel already set up in our business manager, so it pulls from there, and that's the pixel. Good question. Okay, I know you have a question back there.
I'm Laura. I am the marketing manager at Momentum Free in Tulsa. We're a marketing and technology agency. A lot of my questions have already been answered. One of them was really honing in on the B2B marketing. Is there a way to, aside from the geolocation, or is the geolocation the answer to target companies, let's say in specific, wanting to target Williams to run an ad for data management or something like that. So when I use the geolocator, if I'm trying to target Williams and companies like Williams, or is there a way to target companies in Facebook like other platforms?
Can you still target based on where people work? Is that used to be?
There used to be like an email address. You could use their company email address
Yeah,
without
like at
assuming,
williams.com or something.
assuming people have their personal Facebook set up with their company email,
Which honestly doesn't always matter, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you, let's say I have Lauren at williams.com, and then for my Facebook account I use Lauren at gmail.com, Facebook is if I'm logging on to both from one computer, Facebook's tracking my activity everywhere. Like they know that those two emails are connected. It doesn't have to be that someone uses Facebook with their Lauren at williams.com. If I'm logged on to Facebook with Lauren at gmail.com, but I'm doing stuff with my Williams address on my Williams computer, doing stuff with Williams on my phone, Facebook's smart enough to connect those two emails together. Now, I don't know if they still do the email targeting.
So there were a couple of things. One was, I don't believe you can say people who, it depends on the ad account. I don't believe you can do people who work at, we can just keep using the Williams example. Williams employers. Just so it's said, I do not believe that that's available in every ad account. But in this one, it is.
So, but how do we know that that's the right Williams? Like
It's a great question. I have no idea.
Okay, cool.
I mean, part of that answer would be targeting Williams and then targeting geolocation, their office. And then,
Yeah, so like Quick Trips here, so it's probably big companies, but yeah, I'm finding all these on here, if their employer is listed as that.
And so whenever you're also doing the detailed targeting job titles, CEO, that's assuming also that that person's profile is set up to say they're the CEO of Williams.
If you pick CEO as the job title, then yes, they have to have it listed. But here, you can see CEO is an interest. So they can look at what's your activity, what websites are you getting on, what types of emails are you sending, what content are you interacting with, what events are you attending, what parts of town are you hanging out in, and all of that goes to tell them they have the activity of other people who have listed CEO as their job title on Facebook. So
CEO is
Facebook
a hard
knows
one.
so much about you.
Marketing director is like, I may not list marketing director, but I have all the attributes of a marketing director. So you kind of have to think about it in the activity of someone as opposed to their declared their declared job title.
Yeah, that's a great question. I did want to wrap up real fast the banking example because I think there are a few more things we could say about this. So you put pins, and you can put multiple pins, so you can put another pin on another location. If you have a location here, you can drop these pins on all your locations, give them all unique radius. And then you're saying it's a business app, so it's business owners using it, so probably you're not marketing to a ton of 18-year-old business owners. So it goes back to know your audience, know that really well. You do your targeting. Something that you could do, I don't know if this would be right or not, but if you're pushing people to a landing page that explains how to download the app or the features that the app offers, you could switch, right here to device type to only do mobile. So if it's an app and you're like, probably they're more likely to use our app if they're using other apps on a phone, you could do that. You can make the argument that you want it to go to mobile and desktop so that if they're at work on their desktop, they know there's an app and they go download it, but know that also you can get really niche if you're like, I want people who are already on their cell phones when they see the ad.
Yeah, I think when you're driving awareness, being on desktop and mobile would be great because the Facebook and Instagram platform they know that this is John Schroeder's laptop, this is John Schroeder's phone, this other thing is John Schroeder's tablet, and they stitch all of that together as my unique identity. And so if you're trying to drive awareness for your new product, it kind of doesn't matter to you where the awareness is created. And then again, you can go back and add the targeting of, okay, we know that John Schroeder watched a video about our product on his desktop. Maybe you don't know that detail, but you know that I've consumed it somewhere. And because of that, we can now try to get him to install or come in and create an account.
And again, that's getting really deep. So if we want to stay higher,
Super.
we're getting really complex. I know probably half the room doesn't want that complex. So to keep it high level, you could target to your branches, target to the type of people you want to find. If you want to do only mobile devices, you could. You pick where you want it to go, where you want those videos to show up. Then because we picked on the campaign level that we were optimizing for video views, this is where it's going to ask you how far do you want people to get into your video? Are you happy if they just watch 2 seconds of it? Are you preferring they watch 10 seconds? Or do you want it to be about 15 seconds? So this is like how far you want them to get in there. The shorter amount of time you do, the more people it'll get out to. But if that doesn't move the needle for you, that might not be worthwhile. You might want to pay a little more to have more people see it, or less people might be seeing it, so that you can get them further in the video. So that's something to know that this is going to change depending on what you optimize for. And then I want to talk about the actual ad you're placing. So if you're placing an ad, you're wanting business owners to download this app, here's how you can think about it. You could optimize for video views. So the video, you'd work with some type of video producer to create a video. It could show someone using the app. So it shows someone on the app showing oh look, you can upload checks, and you show them taking a picture of a check. You can manage payroll, or I don't know what your app does, but show a few different demos of the app being used via video. And again, be careful with that audio. You might have someone who doesn't know what they're doing saying, well, we should have someone talking to explain what they're doing in each of those. When really, if you go back to the Martin Bionics example, you might just want to show a few features with some text that says, upload checks, and that's all the text says on the video, or manage your checking account, or transfer money, or whatever it is, just real quick bullet points in the video. And then you could put a link. Once you pick your video, you can still add a website, so it could be the video that's playing, and you have like a button to a website underneath, and they could click the button. You could make a learn more button, or download now. I think downloads one. So you could pick a button that takes them to a landing page on your website that's like, here's everything that explains everything about our app. So you can stay high level with the actual ad, and the copy might just be like, make mobile banking, or make business banking easier, or spend less time visiting the bank, or whatever you're trying to push, and then you give them all the information if they click on the link. Yeah, so that's how you can think about sending people to stuff. If you don't have the capacity to create a video, don't show it. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful video ever. Video would be ideal, but if you can't, if you're like, we just can't do that, we just need to get people to a landing page that tells them about our app, just have one beautiful picture of your photo, or like a hand holding a phone that has the front page of the app whenever you open the app, and just use a photo that pushes to a landing page. Like, don't stress if you're like, we can't create a video right now. You can start simple. I know John wouldn't prefer that, but I
Are
just
there
think
some
you
video
can.
people here? Video.
And you can find video everywhere else, and our staff can help you
You
find
don't
more
do-
36
you
degrees
do.
north underscore videos.
A little bit.
So you can find video people, and
Yeah.
John will push you all day long to do video, but I also, for anyone who's overwhelmed with that, if you want to get started just by doing a landing page view, you can do a landing page view.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Microphone back there. I want to respect where the microphone is.
I'm Chris. I'm Chris. I'm the founder of Creaseworks. I do commercial and editorial photography for clients around the country.
Awesome.
And I have some experience doing ads on Facebook. The last one I did was A/B testing, so running a campaign and just testing different sets of copy, working on video. And my goal right now would be targeting marketing and PR directors in Tulsa, New York, and Los Angeles, and getting those qualified leads.
Okay, so you want to build a lead list. That's what you want at the end of the day, you want a list of emails that you can reach out to and say, hey, saw you're interested in my photography work, let's talk.
Correct.
Great. So at the campaign level with you, I would start with lead generation, right? Is that what you would do for building a lead list? If you've already done other work, he's already got his name out. You could do retargeting to your website. You could do, what would you do? Let's see, this is why we process through it in front of you.
Chris, where are you at in your business? You've got, can you tell me where you're at as far as like, how long you've been around, what are you working on?
Been around for 4 years, but I've hopped around from city to city, so it's kind of like start, restart. Once I get like in the city, stop, then restart.
Okay. How big is your team? Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get context for the why Tulsa, New York, and LA thing. So, man, I would hustle one market. Like, yeah, I mean, I would go, like, work this room today. I mean, forget lead ads.
He has a point. A lot of like Facebook ads do not replace relationships.
Yeah.
So like Robin can run dentist ads all day long, but she's gonna make so much more of an impact if she's visiting dental offices. The same for most people, like it doesn't replace relationships, but it can do some lead gen.
Yeah, I think telling your story as far as like where you're at and what you want to do, and man, I would just focus on Tulsa, hit if you are gonna run ads, I just focus on Tulsa or LA or New York, but don't divide up your budget between New York and LA. The reason for that is because New York has millions of people that are the wrong people, and it takes a lot of time and money to get there. Same with LA. So I forget the math on it. Does anybody know how many people are in New York City? I mean, it's like 9 million or something ridiculous.
It's high.
It's like
I mean, the
4
Dallas
times as
metro
many
is
people.
6 million, so.
Yeah, 4 times as many people as Oklahoma in New York City. So there's a lot of people you can waste money on. And there's a lot of people in this room that probably have the ability to at least get to or close to the budgets that you need to help them. So that's just my personal opinion.
So
Who wants
let's,
to hire this guy right now?
so let's say that you're like, okay, that's great and all, but I still want to run ads. We can show you what we would do to run ads. So if you have already, if you're saying I've already run campaigns and I already have a list of people who have visited my website. Your first campaigns was driving web traffic, or what'd your campaign do the first time?
It was
For
for reach.
reach, okay. So you got in front of a bunch of people. What did you show them?
I showed them it was video work.
You showed them video work, so you showed them like a reel of the video work you've done. Okay, did you send them to your website in addition to that? Like, did you have a link where people could visit your website?
For this one, no.
For this one, no?
It was just getting interaction to what Facebook is.
Okay,
Cool.
okay, cool. So maybe the next step, I think it could be lead generation, or it could be like bringing them to your website if you want them to see your package options, if that's what you want to do with people next step, like, okay, these people have been interested, now we want to show them like package options, or maybe you just want to go straight to lead generation and get their contact info, like, okay, I want to jump straight to the point, let's see who wants to hire me. It just kind of like you have to process through like, okay, do I want to take baby steps that way, or do I just want to go from A to Z? But if you did lead generation, you would pick that, and again, you'd go back to your audiences. So you could create a custom audience. It could be people who have seen the video. Yeah. So if you were showing them this video reel, you could create a custom audience based on people who have seen a specific video. You can do it based on people who have visited or interacted with your Instagram account. People you didn't push to your website, so it wouldn't optimize for people who have done website traffic. But if what you were doing was pushing people to watch a video on your reach ads, then you could find all those people who watched that video and click here. And then,
What's his Facebook name, or what's his website?
what's your website?
Chrisworks.com. So
CREESE.WORKS.com. There, now y'all can hire a video person.
Can you spell it one more time for the slow people here?
CREESE works.com.
Thank you.
Yeah. So then you can come in and be like, okay, do I want to target people who watch 3 seconds? How long was your video? Was it a minute? A minute? Okay, great. You know best practices. A minute is about how long you probably want most videos to be. So if you want to get people, okay, I want to see people who watched at least half of this. You come in and you choose your video. I manage way too many pages. So you find your video here and select that video, whatever it is, and then hit confirm. And then you can do how long ago they watched the video if you want. If you're like, I want the people who have watched it in the last 30 days, you could do that. If you've written it recently, then like you could put 365 days, and that's fine, because if you released a video 2 weeks ago, it's going to be all the people who have watched it since it was released. Then you'll give it a name. People who watched the reel. The name is just for yourself. And then you create the audience. Then when you did awareness, did you target all 3 cities? Or did you just target Tulsa?
At that time I was looking in Seattle, so I just targeted Seattle.
You targeted Seattle. So this is not going to serve you at all, no, unless you're like serving ads in Seattle again. So you might want to do that campaign again, but for Tulsa, let it run for a few weeks, a month, and then come in and do this of like, okay, who has watched this new video for Tulsa? Then, since you targeted to Tulsa anyway, it probably will be fine to not do super specific targeting, but I would still, like, if you want clients who are in the Tulsa area, even though the video was served to people in the Tulsa area, in case it was shared, you know, if other people were talking about it, let's say there was someone in Tulsa who received your ad, and then they shared it with their friends, and then their uncle in Nebraska watched it. You don't want their uncle in Nebraska to get your ad, so that's why you still want to do the Tulsa filter here. And then your age, if you know the general age of your clients, you might just leave that. And then I wouldn't do any specific stuff here. And then you'll go into editing your placements and build out the rest, which we don't need to go through that again. But you're getting leads, and then when you go to the ad creation, you'll create like the format that you want for that lead.
Can I ask what your product offering kind of looks like? Are you in the, just for round numbers, like there's kind of 3 categories of video production. When I'm thinking about video production, there's the I need stuff quick, and there's kind of a volume game of like, there's people that you can go to for video that's like $300 to $500 a month, and they'll do videos for you. And they're not ridiculously amazing, but they're okay, and they can do well. And then there's the second tranche of people that I think are in the like making a video for $1,000 up to $3,000, something like that. And then there's the, you know, sitting with the client, spending weeks, maybe even months in pre-production and larger budgets. Where are you at in that?
That's
Okay.
it.
The big one?
No, not the big one.
The middle one, okay. Yep. So I think in that sweet spot, I would encourage you to focus on business owners as opposed to marketing directors or marketing agencies. If you want to push to the higher stuff, then that's where honestly it's a face-to-face game. So I think I just dug through all of your internet, literally all of it. You have lots of followers on Twitter, kind of a big deal. Anyway, so you know, you've got a great brand, so I would key off of that. I think just showing what you're working on and giving that kind of a hard pitch that's like looking for video for your business, that's the tagline, or that's the headline, that's it. And your face, you've got a great look that you've created here. I would just go with that and keep it simple. If somebody's looking for video and it's in that range, I mean, I think that's the sweet spot. And then just build relationships and take care of them.
This is general business advice from John. It's really good because he's wise and built a really successful business. I do want to finish building out a lead ad in case anyone else wants to know about lead ads. So when you build your lead ad, it'll still be building out an ad that looks like other ads. So you'll put your text of like, hire me. That's not what you're going to say. Please don't say that in your ad. But whatever your copy would be, you'll put a headline of like video services. And then whatever your link is, you'll put a link if you want people to go to your website. Most likely you'll put a link to your website in here. And then you might not want to call people to sign up, but maybe you want people to get a quote. You want to build a lead. Let's say you have a roofing company, and you're like, I want to get a list of people who want to get a quote. So you'll put a nice picture of some friendly looking people on a roof. You'll put, hey, it's time to fix that hail damage or whatever. And you'll put roofing services and get quote. Then for a lead generation campaign, you'll have this nifty thing at the bottom where you'll create a form. So when people actually click the get quote, it'll pull up like this. People click it, and it pulls up this form. You'll give them a little bit of information, and then you'll gather their information here, and then Facebook will collect all of this for you. So that's lead generation. Again, I want to respect the microphone, sorry.
My name is Leah Harper, and I have a blog for preemie moms. The primary goal right now is just to drive traffic to the website. I've had it for about a year. It's been mostly organic growth, and honestly a lot of search. So my SEO is good on the website. I'm really looking to build up the social side.
What was the website?
Preemie Mom Camp. And so my primary target audience is a mom who's in it right now. They're in the hospital with a preemie, or they've gone home and their baby is still in the NICU. They're going back and forth. So when we start talking about, targeting ads, I've heard you talk about interest-based targeting and custom audience. This is kind of unique because they might not be following brands and things yet that they expected. Maybe they followed Babysitter and Pampers because they wanted to have a full-term baby. But right now, they're talking online about going back and forth to the NICU. They're talking about prematurity. They're talking about, maybe preeclampsia or the condition that got them there. So can you target people that are using keywords in their posts online? I would love for this community for preemie moms to be presented to them while they're talking about what they're going through.
Yeah, I think your business is really cool, and I love that you're doing that. The short answer is yes, you can. So if you're looking for, you might want to target around the hospitals if that's where they're at. You do your geo-targeting around the hospitals, and then in that you can put your interests are I think you can even do pregnant moms.
Yeah,
help if I
I'm
spell
looking.
pregnant correctly.
Yeah, so I think a difference is they're having a different experience than someone that's had a full-term pregnancy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe they have proactively followed March of Dimes, maybe they've proactively searched preemie. There's a couple of preemie product brands out there. But I couldn't find anything for an ICU. You can try prematurity.
Medical stuff is kind of funky
Yeah.
too.
So that's why I wondered if the ads can know what people are typing in their posts. If I'm talking about, gosh, going back and forth to the NICU, stressful, or going to visit my baby in the NICU.
It'll know, it reads your post. Yeah, it's collecting data, and it'll look for common words. I'm trying to track it. I don't think it's gonna work. It would pop up if it was. So medical things are hard. So I would think of other things they're going through. If there's brands specifically for preeclampsia issues, or if there are like you said, March with Dimes, or I don't even know.
Can it do it for non-medical though? Because I would be curious for my business, that's a smart idea.
Yeah.
I look for recommendations and try to glean those, but is it built to be able to search that specific behavior?
So anything that has to do with something that could be a condition, you're going to run into a bunch of different issues that basically Facebook doesn't allow us to target. Yeah, it's HIPAA meets general, it's like the opposite of empathy. If you allowed everyone to serve an ad to families that have a preemie child, it just could make for a gross world. So, I think the fact that you're serving them is the first key ingredient. I've seen ad accounts and pages shut down because that was a question. I've never seen it when you were on the right side of serving a community, that Facebook didn't go, okay, I get it. You guys are serving respectfully. You're not offering, I don't even know what terms service would be
Not
offered.
trying to swindle vulnerable people.
Right. So I think a more advanced thing that you could look at, how much website traffic are you getting right now?
Oh, it's just a couple of thousand hits a month, but
Okay.
most of it's organic search. There's
Yep.
searching 21 births, so that's, 23-week baby, 30-week
Yep.
baby, prematurity, preeclampsia.
Yep.
That's why the hashtags on Instagram have worked so well.
Yeah.
Because people are using that as a search engine.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to kind of figure out the equivalent for Facebook.
Yeah, so
A lookalike audience.
lookalike audience of your website, and just those are the people you serve. That you're not qualified. It's an interesting gray area that it's the audience you're serving. It's not the condition that you're.
Because the challenge is they're in it, and then hopefully their children grow up to be healthy, and then
Yeah.
they moved on. So it's
Yeah.
kind of always that audience that's in it that I'm playing with. But I like, even though I kind of serve, worldwide, but I like the hospital targeting because people tend to check in at their hospital
Sure.
on social. They're saying going up to St. John, going to St. Francis. So that would be a great start.
And I think to answer your question, you can't just type in of like anyone who put eclampsia in their post in the past 10 days serves in this ad. As far as I know, you can't do it's not like AdWords in that way. So that'd be a really cool
Can I
feature.
add to that because of the dental?
Yeah.
With Facebook, you can't use words like preeclampsia.
Right.
You're just gonna get rejected.
It's more like
Right.
NICU prematurity would be my
You probably can't even use those
Even
words. You
those
have to
words.
find words that are not gonna appear offensive
Yeah.
to anybody for any word.
Yeah,
I've
you really
gotten,
have
I've
to.
gotten
You really have to
taken-
be careful.
I've gotten ads taken down that had nothing to do with an open mouth or an extraction,
Mhm.
but the person in the picture was a periodontist.
Mhm.
Boom, out.
And
So
you might
it gets really, they're very touchy. So
Yeah.
the name of the picture and the words in the text.
Yeah.
And that's where an engagement campaign could serve you. So if you're doing lookalike people who look like the people using your page, maybe a lot of the people who like your page, they dealt with a preemie situation 3 years ago, but they're going to be part of networks of moms who are dealing with it now. Because a lot of times when you go through something hard, you want to then share and be encouraging people who are also going through that. So maybe your objective is interactions with your post. Like you're like, I want people to share the heck out of this post. And then that helps it get to the right audiences. If they're sharing with their friends and they are friends with people who are going through that too, and they're friends with people who are in other mommy Facebook groups of like, we're all going through this together, then that could serve you well. So you can use your people to get to those people. You just might not be able to get directly to them because of the medical
So
side.
look like my audience, your
Mhm. Look like the people who have interacted with your Facebook or Instagram pages.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Go to NICU nurses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get them to tax on.
Yeah, you could do the job title of nurse for sure.
And that way you're
Mhm.
not specifically.
Maybe NICU nurses.
Patient
Yes.
You're not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's great. NICU nurses, I don't know if that shows up. Does it show up?
Yes, look there.
It's right there, yep. So you could target nurses and get specific with job titles. So a lot of this is just like playing in here, like what will it let me do? And it's putting random words. And once you pick one, it'll give you suggestions of like other things that could be similar. If you're like, oh yeah, I did Pampers, I forgot to do Huggies, so it'll remind you of the things you forgot too. So.
What are you trying to get people to do?
Connect with each other. It's just such a weird, unique experience. It's
Yeah.
not what your sister had or your
Yeah.
best friend had. And trying to connect people that have had similar experiences. So the most read articles, blog articles, are age-specific, due date-specific weeks.
Mhm.
So just kind of helping them find other people that have had their experience. It's a lot of online chatter, but the selfish interest is driving people to the
Traffic,
website.
so you can get more ad money. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I think these are good starting places. I think it's playing with it. I think it's talking to people about it because it's like, oh, you could do this and that, and
Yeah,
that's
getting
really
NICU
cool.
nurses saying, hey, there's a resource, you may like it, may not, but
Yeah.
this is
And
where
you
a
can
lot of
create
our.
content directly to them.
Yeah.
Like you could create 2 different ad sets. You could have your ad set of your lookalike audience of people who look like the people who have interacted with your page, and then you can have your ad set of nurses, and you're feeding them 2 different content. The lookalike audience, you might be pushing them to a blog post on like 7 things you need to know if you're walking through preeclampsia, whatever. Then for your nurses, it's like resources to help mothers walking through preemie babies, you know, and like so you're serving them different things because you think of if you were standing in front of a room of nurses, what would you want to tell them? And that's how you create the actual ad that you're serving them. So I would not target both of these things in a same ad set. I'd create two different ad sets.
That's a cool organization. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, you got the mic, yay.
My name is Ann Nicole Mead, and I'm the marketing director for Acre Paint. And I joined the company last summer. I had been with a larger corporation for a really long time, and we had different departments to handle some of this stuff. And so we're a really small department now, and so it's like, oh, I need to do all of this myself. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to target my ads on a limited budget when we've got different locations and we've got different industries. So we have industrial paint, which is going to go on oil and gas equipment, on dumpsters, on all of that stuff. And then we have your DIY and residential customers who are going to be going into our stores to actually get the paint, hopefully. So I'm trying to figure out on a limited budget the best way to kind of approach that.
Yeah, so mine goes first to ads for this, which like the ad itself is the end, but I think it's important to remember like the ad that you're serving oil and gas people is going to be different than the ad you're serving the DIY do it at home. DIY do it at home, maybe you do a picture of color swatches with a living room in the background, or you show people painting in the living room and you have text over it that says like, paint that will last a lifetime, or whatever your tagline is. And that ad is going to be different than like paint. Then like for the oil and gas people, you might show someone painting something on an oil and gas site because those people will recognize that site and it will meet the need they have. So my mind goes to the ad first, but how would you do the campaign level and the ad set level for that? Clearly two different ad sets for different audiences.
And we have the Tulsa area and then Oklahoma City and Denver.
Okay, so at the highest level, I would separate your campaigns based on the geography. So if you've got Oklahoma or Tulsa area and you've got Denver, that would be two separate campaigns.
And would you do reach or video views? If they have video of painting on an oil field and video of painting a living room, would you do reach to get it out in front of as many people as she can? Or would you do those video views, people who actually like watch a little bit of the painting? Or would you do traffic of like, are you wanting to get people to your site to sign? Can they buy your paint online? Oh no.
So what's the normal sales process? So there's the oil field paint. There's did you say that there's like painting for here, and then there's DIY or home?
Yeah. So we have industrial, commercial, which would be like this, and then residential.
And then the split of those three categories, roughly?
I'd say 50% industrial, and then the remaining 50 commercial and residential.
Okay.
But we're trying to grow that.
Yep. So
what is your sales process like right now for, let's start with the industrial.
Super weeds. Yeah. Let's try it.
For industrial,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much just our sales reps going out into the field and making contacts. We haven't had a huge digital presence, and that's what I'm trying to build now.
I'm going to talk through the residential one, and maybe it'll spur what could work on the commercial side. So for the residential side, recently moved is a category within Facebook.
What would you do for the campaign level first, though, before you do your targeting?
So at the campaign level, I would create the creative would be something like freshen up your new home, or something that is pointing to the fact that they just moved. I mean, I just moved on Monday, and painted. And I would do it for probably video views. If the audience is really small, and by really small I mean under 10,000, something like that, you might go a little higher So there's two options on video views. There's optimized for through play, which is 15 seconds. And then there's optimized for two continuous seconds. I would recommend the optimized for 2 continuous seconds on a under 10,000 audience. On the commercial side is always interesting because it kind of, I would probably have to understand like the process that the salesperson is going through. What's the normal path to conversion? And who's making that decision on the commercial side? Because I don't even know like who makes the decision.
It's more property managers,
Okay.
apartment owners,
Yeah.
business, building owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those people, I think that their most important thing is the bottom line of like how much they're selling. So you like if you wanted to sell paint to people who are listed as property managers, you could put property manager as the job title. Then you have to think about what would draw them in of like, hey, you can get X amount of paint, like 20% off if you buy X amount of paint or whatever. So you have to think about like their pain points. That goes back to the empathy. Like anyone you're selling to, think about their pain points and how you can help them in their pain points. Maybe a pain point for a commercial person is that the paint doesn't last. So you're saying a paint that lasts. For Martin Bionics, it was a socket that's comfortable. So just like whatever your ad is, you're meeting their pain point with that ad. I think John touched on recently moved. In case you didn't know, you can do life events. So you can type life events of things that have happened. It'll give you all different stuff. It'll be like they had an anniversary or they're having an anniversary. They do that based on when Facebook told them they're getting, or when they told Facebook they got married. So you can put the date you got married on there. If they are away from their family, so Facebook will pull like, okay, do they have siblings listed? If so, where are those siblings and parents at? You can do friends of, you can do, they're different, oops, I went too far. There's just lots of life events that you can dive into. It won't even list them all here, but that's like somewhere you could look. If you're looking for newlyweds, if you're looking for they just got a new job, know that that's an option of a category you can look at.
Okay, so I'm gonna give one hack, super hack. Okay, so only one. No, then you have to come back. So within Facebook's geo-targeting, what you can do is you can create positive and negative geofences. So what you can do is say, here's the location of where I know they're redoing this 36 degrees north. And you can run ads only to this location by creating negative radiuses just outside of the center point. It is really a pain in the rear, really a pain, because you have to basically get really close to your screen and move your arrow just outside of the radius. And then you can create this little, like, less than a block area to serve ads to. A key,
Do we show where you do negative radius?
what's the, so this gives us the, thank you. This gives us the radius of 36 degrees north. And then, let's see here. Then I would go in and I would exclude, and I would drop a pin here. And it defaults to 10-mile radius. Let's see here. So we've basically created this little positive targeting zone here. And I would have to create at least 3 more, excuse me.
This is like serious hack, you guys.
This is serious.
Doing this for more than one location, just retire now and put me in an insane asylum. It's crazy. But it can be done.
But you get the gist of what he's doing. He's creating like, don't target to these areas, but target in here.
One more and then I'll show you what it looks like in the center there. So basically in this little area is all it's where it will serve. A key feature that you need to make sure it's everyone in this location, not people who live in this location, because there's even less people who live in this location. This is something fun. If you ever want to target people who are recently in a location, we use this for concerts. So if we know someone was at Bridgestone Arena recently, which we've done quite a few of those, basically said serve ads to them. We actually did it so that it served ads to them while they were there, and then we use that audience as a retargeting audience, qualifying them as someone who's seen this concert for other products.
So you exclude everybody that have all the circles, and you're just gonna target the people on the pin.
Exactly. So if you do this for like an arena, an example of how this would play out. So if John's marketing, I can only imagine, which is mainly for like Christian audiences, then he might find an arena that just had a Christian concert of some sort and target everyone who was there for the Christian concert last night. I can only imagine that's Mercy Me, right? So you might find like, where's Mercy Me touring?
Yeah,
and I'll find all the arenas that Mercy Me was in, and then he'll serve ads that say, do you love Mercy Me? Clearly they do, because they were just at their concert last night. Come see this movie. And they show them the trailer for the movie. The story behind the songs you saw last night. Well, you want to get that creepy because you don't want to tell people that you know where they were last night. Even though
I know what you did last time.
But you know, the story behind, I can only imagine. And in their mind, they're like, oh, we just saw him perform. I can only imagine last night. Oh my gosh, I want to see how that story goes.
Facebook is listening to me. Well, not really.
Yeah.
They're just tracking.
They're just tracking you. So that's an example of where that could play out. Levi, since you're on staff, I want you to ask a question because you never get to.
Levi, before you ask your question, I had one more thought that I need to clarify on this. So this is hyper location. Do not try to spend much money on this. I mean, like $5 a day is plenty.
Well, and don't you have such a small audience that
Yes.
you at this point too that
You're gonna overpay to get in front of these people. As long as they're the right people, then
worth it.
that's okay.
But
You're not wasting money on everybody. So
yeah.
Levi.
Right, my name is Levi State. I work at 36 Degrees North. I also own a cleaning business, and I'm also marketing director for a nonprofit called Bridge Builders International, building schools in South America for children in need. And one of the things that I recently came on the last 6 months, they never even had like a Facebook, Instagram, none of that. We basically were running on an old school MailChimp newsletter is like how they do all of their communication.
100% of their marketing.
And so one of the things I'm trying to do is one, just trying to get our name out there of like who we are. So I think that would just be a natural just brand awareness, like just was that just so that's different than lead. So the lead generations are those that you've already done a prior campaign to. Can you not do a lead generation apart from a prior campaign?
You can run lead generation without creating awareness. I will say that it's going to make your costs quite a bit higher. There is something about the Facebook algorithm and specifically the Facebook ads that if you have enough conversions, it will start to figure out who the right people are to convert. So in the very beginning, when you start to run ads for leads or optimize for conversion events on your website, Facebook kind of, let's just say you give it an audience of 10 million people, really broad audience. There's 260 million people in the US connected to a device. So you just have a fraction. But when when that ad starts to run, if you're running it for lead generation, it is not going to know who the right people are until it's seen conversions. So as a general rule of thumb, you want to have 50 conversions before, once you have 50 conversions in a month, that should be about the cost that you should expect for those conversions. And it can get better than that. But once you need to have at least that many conversions in a month before Facebook really understands, like, okay, I understand what this account is looking for. I don't know if that helps.
Can you clarify
Yeah.
conversions? Like,
Sure.
was it just the click to the landing page? Was it that you became the customer? Like, do you mean that it?
Any of the above.
It could be any of the above. So it could be a landing page view, could be your conversion, it could be a lead, like the lead ads that Lauren showed. It could be a sale on your website. Any of those things could be a conversion.
It's just an action that someone took. Yeah. I would say too, something to think about if you're trying to build brand awareness first, if you're like, there's just, people don't know what we're doing, you probably want to start with like, have someone around 36 create a video of like a 1-minute video of here's what we do. And then something that I wanted to show is that you can go in and put specific like interest, brand interests people have. So if you're helping children in a third world country, that's exactly what Compassion International does. So you can target people who are already interested in Compassion International of like, hey, here's another cool thing. Yeah, charity water, maybe, I don't know, like focus on the family might not be right, but you know, like you can do similar things of like efforts that are similar to yours, so you already know you're reaching people who are really interested in that.
And I have just one question. When we talk about the $5 a day, is that, so the cap is $5, and then does it mean that a click is going to be worth so much of that $5? And how much is a click worth? And are you able to set the click?
I remember getting so caught up on this when I first got into Facebook advertising. I've asked you this question like so many times, you're like, no, you can't say. There's not like a set cost that a click costs. It's not like you go to the store, you buy a loaf of bread is $1 or whatever, and you know every time the loaf of bread is $1. It depends on how good your ads are, how good your content is, how good your targeting is, that will affect the cost per click. So there's not a set amount. A lot of it depends on you. Like, are you serving the right material to the right people? Then your cost per click will be lower. If you are not giving people what they need or want, it's going to be higher. So there's not a set, like, here's how much it will cost every time someone clicks. They're just, it depends a lot on you.
So does that mean though that like that if the content is really good and we're getting more clicks, the clicks are going to go down because
Correct.
the work is hard?
Correct.
Yeah, it's not, Facebook's not having to work as hard to give it
Is
to
that why you
people.
do like an A/B, like a test?
That's why you do an A/B test. So I can show you
Yep. One of the things that, sorry, Erin.
No, go for it.
One of the things that we pay a lot of attention to is actually, so if we're running a campaign for awareness, for instance, if our cost per metrics, my cost to get someone to watch, or what Facebook calls through play, which is 15 seconds, let's say that it costs 2 cents per through play. If those numbers are the same against all of my audiences, let's say I've created 10 audiences and all the numbers are the exact same, the next place I go is what does it cost me to get somebody to share? So when I'm looking at that, the reason why is because those numbers are dramatically different, or they at least can be. So if I'm targeting females, and females are 3 times more likely to share, so my cost per share is 30 cents, or my cost per share for males is $1, then I'm going to allocate more spending for that segment. Because it's actually one of the places that we've seen the most success is optimizing for cost per share. I wish I had hardcore data science to prove out that that's actually what delivers box office at the movies, but we're working on it. So.
I would say also just to show y'all an example of A/B testing and how you can look at cost per whatever you're optimizing for. So right now, on April 24th, I think we're hosting a workshop on podcasting. So I have one ad set level of I'm targeting people who are marketing and communications professionals. And inside there, I have 3 different ad copies running. I can look over here at my results. So this, the 1 sentence ad copy, is costing me $1.23 per event result. That's a lot higher than the 62 cents or the 71 cents. So I probably want to turn that one off. So now it's spending my money just on these 2 rather than all 3, because this is performing better.
By the way, these are great results.
Thank you.
Even at $1.23.
Can I get to Pamela? I know she's been waiting so patiently.
No problem. Pam Stukenborg, and I'm a headshot specialist, specializing in helping people feel more comfortable when having their picture taken. So my question is, as far as the objective, what I'm going to be targeting, and then going down the tree to budget and scheduling, like where do I want to send them? I'm asking the right question here. Do I want click links or impressions? Like which one would best suit me?
So where in the funnel, when I say funnel, we're just thinking, are they aware of your products and service, or have they been to the website? Are you trying to find new people that don't know about you?
Well, more so kind of targeting like, attorneys, bankers.
Yeah.
I want to talk to the banker lady over there.
Yeah.
Do they know about you already when they're seeing your ad?
Yes, exactly. They already know that I'm a headshot specialist just by visiting my Facebook page,
Yeah.
which is also linked to my website.
But the people you're serving ads to, is your goal to get more people to know about you? At the end of the day, is it I want more people to know that I exist? Or is it I want the people who already know I exist to book me for?
I would say both those things, yeah.
So I would look at doing a video views campaign and optimize your budget for through play. And you were at the previous marketing talk. I think you need to be in the business of pitching other people's stuff, but it's my personal opinion.
Well,
You're great at telling the story of what you do and the problem you're solving. And so I think specifically, like if you were going after people in banking, making that pitch specific to bankers. And like, this is what I do it specifically for bankers to give you the professional look that a banker needs to land those big clients. I don't know.
Right.
You're much better at those words than I am.
No problem.
So,
and you would optimize for video views in that sense because you want people. So let's say you wanted to do a video specifically of like talking about bankers, and you're like, hey, headshots is scary. Let's make it not scary. We'll come to the bank, or whatever, and you're using language that only applies to them. You do video views, and then it's at the ad set level that you target those specific people.
Sure. And I'm also a Bedford camera video influencer. So I want to, not only, promote them, but can they hire you guys to come to their people that do their social media? And because I think they would be a great,
Yeah, so John owns an agency, and he takes on clients, and I don't know how you determine who you take, but if John's not able to, I'm sure he could recommend people who would walk through step by step with a business.
Yeah.
And then one last question about the Facebook pixel. Like I texted my gal who does my website, I'm like, hey, do I have a Facebook pixel? And she said, no, but that's a good idea. Well, I don't know what to do. Well, what do I need to get that connected to my Facebook page? Or
do you want to pull it up?
Yeah, so there was that in the calendar event. I'll show you all how to get there. If you come to the 36 Degrees North calendar, you click on today's event. There's a little link that says click here, and this has links to tell you how to do all the different steps we talked about. So there's a link on how to set up a website pixel for Business Manager. You'll click there, and this is on the Facebook website of them walking you through step by to set up the Facebook pixel.
Awesome.
If you're not super techy, in the list of how to do it is the send this to my website person. Just do that.
I love that.
Yeah, and then Facebook figured out, hey, we don't all want to be WordPress or Wix or Squarespace people. Awesome.
Where's the mic? Hello.
Hi there, my name is Alejandro Lawrence, and I'm the owner of a business in Tulsa. I own an advertising agency that uses social media to reach the Hispanic community. And I think I'm probably like the only one because there's no other social media there.
Yeah.
That's
They
what
have it.
Giovanna does. Giovanna. Ruiz.
Yeah.
Her?
All day marketing.
Yeah, I think she does that too. Keep going.
All right, I just have a question real quick. Can you give me a little tips about make my relevance score on business manager a little higher?
Your relevance score.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know if that has something to do with the money that I'm spending. Whether the relevance score is low or high. Sometimes I see it like 5, sometimes I see like 2, sometimes I see it at 10. You know, I'm kind of confused with that. That's my question.
So the more relevant you are, the higher your relevance score. So when you're looking at your data, so I'll go into a campaign that we have running. It'll tell you a relevance score. You can hear me there fast. But one of the columns will show how relevant is the ad that you're placing. So the actual ad, whether that's a video or a picture or whatever, how relevant is that to the people who are seeing your ad? And they do that based on how people are interacting or how they have a lot of data that helps show them that. So my relevance score is an 8, and I think it's out of 10, right?
Yep.
So 8 out of 10, I would say that's pretty good. What people are seeing is relevant to what they're getting. So the lower your relevance score, if you have a relevance score of like 2, then you need to change the ads that you're delivering to people. So that does hurt you. So if the relevance score is higher, it's gonna cost me less to get ads out, and it's gonna get out to more people. So the relevance score does matter, and it does affect how Facebook delivers your ads.
Yeah, so I have a love-hate relationship with relevance score. It's been long and tumultuous. I'm just really upset with them. So, and here's why. I've seen ads that have delivered a lot of audience, performed well at the cost per metric, like somebody signing up or somebody looking for a theater or something like that, where the relevance score was 3 or 5 of 10, but it was working perfectly. I have no idea why it would say it's 3 or 5. I think part of it is maybe we push frequency high when someone's at the bottom of the funnel, which Facebook doesn't particularly like to do that. But
So what that means is when he says frequency high, we're at the bottom of the funnel. So that's like, we make sure that people see this ad a lot, that one person, so like we make sure Evan sees this ad 17 times. That's high frequency because we know Evan is at the bottom of the funnel, which means he's already watched this video, he's already been to our website, he's already put some stuff in the cart. We believe Evan is like at the tipping point of hitting buy on whatever we're doing, so we're gonna show Evan the ad like 1 million times. I just want to translate a little bit.
Good staff reference. The other thing with relevance score is that let's say you ran 3 ads, and the only difference was the ad copy or the ad headline, and you saw like this one, one of the ad copies is performing at a relevance score of 8, and Facebook decided, well, we're going to serve as much to that creative as possible. So the other 2 ads don't even have a relevance score because it doesn't have enough statistical significance to be able to say that the other 2 ads are only a 6 or a 5. So it made a call really early on, which is typically good. It's a good thing, especially on a smaller budget. Especially, I mean, I think it made that call, obviously, looking at the cost per results, because she was getting 62% event responses. So that being the key thing that Facebook said, okay, push all the money over there. So it's trying to optimize. If you had a long-term campaign that you're you're running month over month, let's say that this one was a long-term campaign, probably the suggestion would be to look at the full description, the best performing, and create new variations on the old campaign that was the best. And then turn off the old ads that weren't performing at the best. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Does
that answer?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect, thank you.
Cool.
Can I share one little idea for like other business owners?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to share this idea that I have because I used to go into a business and like, hey, I do videos and I do landing page, and the reception used to like, can I get your business card? And okay, I take the business card, and my idea never went to the owner. And I know sometimes the owners, they don't check Facebook, and it's hard to like target specific the owner. So what I did was like, I want to make a video of myself and the computer screen doing a step-by-step what I can do to help the owner, and explaining it. And I put that video into, you gotta find you gotta find like, I don't know, Wix or WordPress or whatever software you feel like comfortable to make a website, and just make a little website with a video. And the title will be like, hey, this is what can I do to make your business better? And then just have a small button that say, press this button to make an appointment with me. So I used to like try to get the email address for that particular owner or the cell phone and be like, hey, I just want to send you this email, and I think if you open it, it's going to make your business way better. And that's how business owners get to open up my email with just my video and my presentation and the button to them for them to call me. And that's how I get more business, because it's really hard to go from the door all the way to the office, because they're always on a meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, they're on a business meeting. So if you guys want to get business owners to see your business, make yourself a presentation. If you don't know how to make a website, put it on YouTube and send them the YouTube link or the business owner on their cell phone or on the email address, and that's how they're gonna be like, wow, you know what? I want to call this guy.
Yeah. Videos.
I'm pointing at you, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm pointing at you because that's a great idea for you.
I think also like that goes back to like, it's so important if you're sending people to your website, know what you're sending them to, because you could have successful Facebook ads of like, man, I got a ton of clicks and it only cost me 10 cents per click and it was going so well. But if what you're sending them to is not of value or doesn't make sense or isn't optimized for mobile, where if you look on it on a phone and you can't see what it is, like what you're sending them to is just as important as getting people to click on the ad. You have to think of your business as a whole, of your brand as a whole. If you're sending them, like for the banking site, if you're sending them to like a page just full of text and jargon that doesn't break down real clearly what you're offering, they're gonna be like, oh, this is too much, and they're gonna move on. So think about, where you're sending people. Think about your website. If you're small, if you're just getting started, we host workshops here on how to build a website. There's a 5-week series happening right now. There's other workshops throughout town. Like, we wanna help you, we wanna get you those resources, but think holistically with your business too. A great performing Facebook ad is not the end, so that's important to keep in mind.
One more thought. Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone, like, that idea to me is brilliant. I also do that idea because I love it. So at a just very high level, I think that people are bombarded with email with, I mean, I don't know how many, there's not a day this month that I didn't get a LinkedIn spam from somebody that's like, hey, you just bought a house. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Get off. Like, stop. It's annoying. But like, you added no value to my life. You want to come have coffee with me and talk to me about my finances? You've got to be kidding me. Go away. I don't know you. So, here's my rant. I have 60 seconds to tell you that if you can define who your audience is, maybe it's the banking community and it's photography, and you're saying, look, I've looked through your website, your people are lovely, I've been in your branches, I am currently a customer of your branch, and I can make great photography of all of your people and give a great professional presentation. Here's what my stuff looks like, and sending over that video. On the marketing side, it's really easy for us as a company to actually go to their website, do a screen grab or a video grab of what I'm looking at on their website, I've done it quite a few times. I have literally just sent it to the CEO or CMO and said, hey, I saw this on your website. I think we can help. I think it's important if you could make these 3 changes. Here they are. Hope your business is awesome. Like, let's just stay in touch if you need anything. Like, it's worked. It's a great idea. Anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Second tile, peek out.
Nice. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Marty. I used to do print advertising for national publications and stuff, and actually, it was why I took some time off. And in the meantime, people would, my friends and family, wanted me to help them market their stuff. And so, since it sounds older, and they're referring people over to me, I'm going to start charging. You know, these are friends and family.
Good for you.
So,
You should.
so I'm gonna do that. So I have 3 questions. They're pretty quick. Let's do it.
That's what you think.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Okay. On the ads themselves, best colors, textures, video versus animation, best days of the things like that.
The ads, like the design of the ads.
Yeah, the design of the ads and then the timing of the ads. Like I know around 10 o'clock in the morning, there are people that are going to be looking at Facebook more, and then 3 o'clock in the afternoon, those are the downtime people that at work are looking at their Facebook.
Yeah.
And those are probably going to be the mobile people as well. And then if I send them to those, if I separate those time zones or times that I'm sending out the ads, are they going to reach the same people again?
I think timing is way more relevant for organic posting. So if you're just posting to your Instagram page or posting to your Facebook page, not ads, but just like posting a post, that's when timing matters a lot more because you're not paying to get in front of people. As far as ads, it's gonna optimize for delivering at the correct time. So advertising, don't worry about timing. Organic posting, you should care more about that.
Yeah.
As far as design, there's not a cookie cutter, this is the best way. If you're trying to do an informational video, it might be different than if you're trying to show pretty things or if you're selling an item. So like, there's not one set, like, this is how your ad should be. It's gonna be very dependent on what you're selling, what you're trying to get people to do.
Yeah, I think that.
There were certain colors that would draw people
Yeah.
in. I mean, I knew this, and as we get together, we would utilize that
Yep.
information. Does that still apply?
Yes.
Okay.
So in general, it still applies. Putting brown in an ad is never going to work. It just doesn't. Red is always a sale. Like, so all those things from print still apply. I think a big difference between print and social or digital is that people want to see faces. So it doesn't matter what the product is, they want to see the person that it's affecting and imagining that they're the person that it's affecting.
Okay.
So I like having, like, all of our movie trailers have a really large face as the image that you see before you click play. Because people want to see somebody that's happy or going through something, or, I mean, it's very much like a movie poster. I keep coming back to those, but.
When I do, like, for the doctors, so that since I can't use the medical term, I could put somebody
In a doctor's office,
Or-
getting their heart checked, getting their blood pressure taken.
that would kind of go across that, or they would shut that ad down.
Right. I would focus, find the friendliest faces of the doctors
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and use them if you can.
Okay.
I think too, it's important to remember if you're not doing a video, if you're doing just an image-based ad, you will get dinged if there's text in the image. So some people are like, oh, I want to run an ad, but it's like a poster that has all this information on it, and Facebook will count that against you. So if you're doing an image, make it just be an image, not a graphic with text on it.
Okay, but how do you versus, I don't know, the video with the overlay of the text, how's that different?
It is.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, Facebook doesn't want it to look like the news feed is full of static, non-moving text. So it counts moving text a little bit differently.
Okay.
If there is a logo, typically a logo doesn't count as text. There are going to be issues with some logos having too much text, and then they think, well, you can't say Physicians Institute of Tulsa in over at 36 degrees north in, this coordinates. I mean,
It's like modern health.
right, right. So kind of the less text you can put, the better, and the less text that's always there, the better, if it's a video.
Okay, the other one was, in the ads, that line to capture their attention stuff at the top, is it good to ask questions so people are interacting on the on the comments and stuff, so people stay longer on the page, versus like the like, share, comment thing. I've noticed that people will wait for those context or those little things instead of actually purchasing.
Yep. So I think I can unpack that question in a few different ways because it's a little bit complicated. So when you're driving awareness, some key things: don't ask for a like, don't ask for a share, don't ask.
You can tell.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
if you say like if you love donuts, like that's funny that I just pointed out donuts. Anyway, like Facebook is going to flag you for asking for the like. So you can't encourage a like of a post. You can encourage them to like your Facebook page, although I wouldn't recommend it. And then the share thing, my recommendation would be at the end of a video, if you are trying to create viral lifts, so to speak, ask for the share at the very end of the video. Something that a bunch of influencers tried to hack their way into the algorithm by basically, at the beginning of the video, they asked for the share. They were like, hey, if you love me, like, why don't you share it right now? And then you're gonna watch the video. And so a bunch of people shared early in the video, and Facebook realized they were hacking the algorithm. So they adjusted, so if you share before nearing the end of a video, they realized that you didn't actually watch the piece of content. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, don't put in your copy ever to like this or share this or comment on this, because that won't work out in your favor. And you want to create content, honestly, that people just want to do those things naturally, that you don't have to ask them to do that.
Yep.
You want content that's valuable enough that they're going to share without you asking them to.
I think with questions, we could use the preemie example. If you're not trying to get them to take an action outside of the comment or the question or it's more of a community feature. Like you don't want to say, what's your experience with having a preemie? But asking about your favorite product that or even there's a new product in the market that's this. What do you guys think about it? Has anyone tried this? Just being authentic, and then it's not trying to push them. Yeah, it's not trying to push them to engage, and then hey, also come over to our website where I can sell you preemie stuff. And it's more about the community first. So if you can separate those two things in your mind, I think that's the best.
Starting dialogue, she's gonna have way more success being like, hey, what have y'all thought about this product than hey, comment below what product you love using for this.
Yeah.
One last one.
Yeah, last question.
Okay. I'm starting to do the Catholic schools and listen more Catholic schools in the county. And it's such a broad audience, and they come from all different directions and all different.
Like you're trying to get people to enroll their kids in Catholic school.
Yes.
Ooh, this is fun. Let's do this. This is one of my favorite
I'll
things.
bet
to do.
I did.
Okay, so let's say you're trying to get parents to come to a page on your website. Let's say your goal is I have a page on my website that breaks down what we offer and our curriculum and our prices. So the goal is you're trying to get people to the website of this Catholic school. So something.
Like an event, or, I mean, would that be a good way?
You can target an event. If you're doing an open house, then your objective level would be you create a Facebook event for your open house. You would put engagement as your objective, and it would be event responses. You're like, at the end of the day, I want people to respond to this Facebook event for my open house. So you could do engagement, event responses, and build out, and you probably just do, okay, let's go down this road. So if we're saying we want people to come to our open house, you know that your school, you can put the address of your school in. Thank you, that's so much easier. So if you come in, let's say, you're doing Castle Hall, which is somewhere around here, and you know that most of the families are within a 20-mile radius of the school.
5.
They'll drive for.
Yeah, whatever you think the radius is. So you're targeting parents. You're not targeting the kids for the open house. You're targeting parents. So probably if you have a kid who's in kindergarten, they're 5. So the youngest their parent would be is probably 25-ish. And probably you think about the cost of your school. So
Well, the nice thing about Catholic schools is they give away,
Sure. I'm just saying about for the age range. So yeah, so I would probably do 25 to 65 and up because you might be getting it for grandparents too if you include that wide of a range. You want it to go to men and women, and then something you can type in is parents with teenagers, parents with preteens. Parents of, so like, let's say you're only doing an open house for middle school. So this is probably like your sweet spot for middle school parents.
Well, the thing also is you have to get them started early in Catholic school in order to funnel in.
Sure. Yeah, so maybe your open house. So I don't know your exact strategy or like what y'all need. No, you're fine. You're totally fine. But so like maybe you're wanting people to enroll their infant. Like, hey, your baby was just born. Get them on our waiting list now. Whoever you're trying to get. I'm just making assumptions.
Yeah, fill that funnel up like 3 years out.
Yeah. So let's say you're getting new parents and parents with toddlers, and you're doing. You're trying to get them to your website waiting list. Like what you're trying to get them is get on a waiting list. Probably these people aren't going to go to an open house yet. Like open house is going to be a little older. So if you're doing an open house and you're building out the event, they're going to do parents of older kids. If you're driving them to put their name on a waiting list, you're going to do parents of younger kids. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. But I'm just showing you that parents is an option here. So if you're trying to target, that's another like life stage.
I would highly recommend for a school to build that out now for students, for students 2 or 3 years out.
Yeah. So
easy direct access, phone number, like a cell phone number and an email, and what age is your student? Like that data is just. I think right now you could probably get a qualified lead in the $5-10 range.
So that would be the lead generation campaign objective. Then you come into your ad set and you do 0 to 2-year-olds. And then when you create your ad, you're creating a form where people will put in all their contact information, and you can create form fields of how old is your child and how long till they'll enter kindergarten and whatever. And then you can hold on to that to then use later down the road. So, and you're not asking much of them, you're just saying, hey, we know your child was just born, but get on the waiting list now. It's never too early to get on our wait list. Maybe that's your campaign. Never too early to get on the wait list. And you're showing, a video of kids playing in your school. Look how great this school is. Don't you want your kid to be a part of it? And then, you're getting their information based on that. So there are 1,000,001 avenues you could go with schools. I think school advertising is my favorite. It's fun.
That's fun.
So on the, lead pages, or
Lead pages or lead generation?
lead generation,
Okay.
and you're actually creating a lead page, right?
Are you wanting to do your lead generation on Facebook or on your website?
So on Facebook, and I want to use a widget that's for scheduling for the dental office.
A widget on the website?
It is on the website.
So you
But-
want to be
But it
pushing
goes
people to
directly,
your
I can
website.
I can put the URL in that goes directly to the scheduling.
Yeah, so
So
you
it
could,
bypasses the website.
well, I don't think you can push people to websites that aren't your own. I've tried that before, unless they change.
No, I do
them.
it all the time.
So,
Yeah.
My problem is, I can't see what the lead form looks like when you're building it. There.
okay, let's you and I talk after, because I know we're about to wrap up, and we can go through the specific use case, because there's some
Okay.
things within the lead ads that, so you can set up a campaign for conversion on you said lead ads, which is why, or lead pages,
Yeah.
which is actually a product.
Yeah, and I don't mean that product.
Okay, okay. But we can walk through the specifics, and so I think what you need to do is optimize for conversions on the scheduling app, and that's the conversion event that Facebook needs to see, and you would just point the ads to that, and then.
Okay, and then
you
there's
don't have
another,
that,
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the one where you collect the information. And
Right.
that was my second question.
Yep.
So, sorry, I'm just confused. On the collecting of the information, can you talk really quickly about where that information goes? Like, how does that get?
That's a
back
good
to
question. When you have a lead form, where does it
the
live?
lead form? Yeah.
That is a good question.
I've actually never done lead forms myself. I've helped people set
I
them.
can tell you how to get there.
So there's a few different places that it could go. So based on how you set it up. So if you don't have MailChimp or one of the other email service providers set up with your lead ads, or there's a way to integrate it with Zoho or Salesforce or all those other things, then it will by default collect it and make it so that you can download the CSV. And that is available only for 6 months from the point that someone requests.
And I don't even know how to find that CSV.
Yeah, I can show you. No.
We do want to be respectful to your time. I know we've lost most of our time already, but it is noon, so we want to let you go. Thank you so much for coming. Like I said, we wouldn't get to all questions. So if you have more questions, if you have specific questions, we'll hang out for a little bit. John also has cards with him. If you just want to work with John going forward, he has been a tremendous help to our organization. But thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all.